This is Ramek Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate first part of what if Naruto was saved by Obito and joined Akatsuki. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And for more exclusive and spicy content, follow me on Patreon. Link is in the description below. And now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Team 7 was the fortunate squadron selected for this C-rank mission, which involved walking along a road to a mountain where residents of a nearby village were stranded and in need of help. Sasuke was brooding. Sakura kept cooing and acting fangirlish around him. Kakashi was reading his perverted book, and Naruto was grinning foolishly. However, in contrast to their usual routine, Naruto and Sasuke were sneaking intense glares at each other. Since the fight on the roof, their relationship hasn't been the same, which was beginning to worry both Sakura and Kakashi. Kakashi said, "There it is," as they all noticed a magnificent, lofty mountain in the distance. With the rest of the team wearing perspiration, Naruto yelled, "Okay, let's do this so we can get back home and get some celebratory ramen," as he ran towards the mountain. After arriving at the mountain, they began to ascend it and went into a cave where they discovered some clothing. Kakashi concluded that this must be where the missing villagers have to be. Naruto rushed deeper into the cave and exclaimed, "Then let's go." "Hello, villagers, where are you?" Sakura screamed at her foolish teammate, "Naruto, you baka, get back here." Sasuke told her, "Sakura, forget it, he can't hear you. He's just like you, Obito." Kakashi sighed in response to Naruto's antics. Naruto reached a huge cavern deep within the cave that was illuminated by blue crystals that glowed brightly. "Whoa. Naruto." When Naruto turned around, Sakura ran toward him with a furious look on her face, leaving him completely terrified. She punched him in the face, sending him further into the cavern, saying, "You baka." Kakashi and Sasuke managed to witness Naruto plummet into the cavern, have his head struck by the tip of a massive crystal, and then collapse to the ground, his body appearing lifeless. Sakura cried out in terror at what she had done. Sasuke said without emotion, "Congratulations, Sakura. You finally killed Naruto." "I didn't mean to kill him," she responded by kneeling down and praying, "Oh Kami, please forgive me. I never wanted to kill Naruto. Sure, he's annoying, but I didn't want to kill him. Please forgive me." Naruto woke up groggily in the cavern and rubbed his head to try to relieve the pain, but as he did so, he kept hearing a dark laugh that he recognized. The Kyuubi laughed ominously and reaffirmed, "I've said it before and I'll say it again, that little airhead is going to be the death of you." Naruto said, "Shut up, you damn fox," as he glanced around and saw blood on the crystal. "Is that mine?" he asked, examining his head for any wounds, gashes, or bloodstains. "No, your head is too hard for something like those crystals to put a dent in it." After ignoring the Demon King's insult, Naruto began investigating the cavern and discovered bloodstains on the walls and crystals. This led him further into the cave. "Hey guys!" Naruto exclaimed, "Guys!" "Naruto!" exclaimed Sakura. He felt the top of his head and said, "Hey guys, there's blood everywhere down here, and I double-checked it's not mine." When the other members of Team 7 leapt down, they saw Naruto surveying the area. Sakura cried happy tears as she ran up to Naruto and exclaimed, "Naruto." Sakura glopped Naruto into an embrace as he turned to face his team. She exclaimed joyfully that she wasn't a murderer, "Thank Kami you're still alive," but then she realized what she was doing and punched him in the head. "Sakura, please refrain from punching Naruto anymore, we don't want him to lose any more brain cells," replied Kakashi. With a peace sign and her tongue protruding, she said to her sensei, "I'll try my best, Kakashi, sensei." Curious, Naruto approached the object he had seen out of the corner of his eye as he stood up and took it from a crystal. Sasuke inquired, "What do you have there?" "Check it out," Naruto said, presenting his discovery to him and Sakura. Before Sakura could say anything more, the three of them fell through a hole in the floor that had just collapsed beneath them. "It looks like." As Kakashi rushed to the hole, a massive rock unexpectedly dropped from the ceiling and landed on top of it. That can't be a coincidence, Kakashi thought, and he commanded, "Show yourself." Then a group of shinobi emerged from the shadows. Sound.nin. According to one of the Sound.nin, Kakashi of the Sharingan. Another person who was itching to kill said, "Killing you will make us legends." Instead of answering their words, Kakashi simply sent them a deadly message that made them perspire a little before he took off his headband and unveiled his Sharingan. Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto together. Naruto moaned as he stood back up, but he was struck in the head once more. Sakura chastised Naruto, saying, "Baka, you shouldn't have picked up that stupid thing." "Naruto, do you still have it?" Sasuke inquired. Naruto said, "Yeah, sure, I got right, but then he realized he had lost what he had found. Oh damn it, I lost it. As Sakura murmured, "Good going, Baka," Sasuke knew what it was. A sound.nin headband. So he didn't need to see it again. "What the hell are they doing here?" he asked. Naruto heard a noise coming farther into the tunnel they were in while he was listening to Sakura lecture. "Do you hear that?" Naruto asked. Sasuke asked, "Hear what?" since he could only hear Sakura's voice. "There it is again." Sakura scolded Naruto, saying, "Naruto, it's nothing but your stupid imagination, now stop acting like a baka." However, she stopped talking when she noticed Naruto standing up and wearing a serious expression. Naruto focused intently on the faint sound, even though it was far away and difficult to hear. It was an appeal for assistance. Sakura called his name, but Naruto ignored her and ran deeper into the tunnel, shouting, "Somebody's down there." Now that he could clearly hear the cry for help, Naruto continued to run faster until he reached another large cavern where he discovered a young, naked girl, likely a year older than Naruto, crying, covered in scratches, and chained up. The girl had long, silky orange hair with bangs that covered her forehead. She whispered meekly, "Please. Help me." Naruto's blood boiled when he saw this. What kind of sick bastard would do this? He thought. His rage was fueling Kyuubi's chakra, which was pumped through Naruto's body. With his newly acquired strength, he grabbed the chains that bound the young, defenseless girl and easily tore them off. The girl crossed her legs and covered her breasts out of fear of what the newcomer might do to her. "Please, no more torture. Please don't deflower me," she begged, her eyes welling with tears. As Naruto unzipped his jacket, the girl flinched, probably thinking she was about to be raped, but instead she felt a jacket put around her, causing her to look up and see a blonde, spiky-haired boy with 6 whisker marks, 3 on each cheek. But his eyes were the most stunning and alluring feature of his features, and she couldn't take her eyes off of them. Naruto felt a mixture of sadness, pity, and rage for the sick bastards who had hurt the young girl, but being angry would have to wait. She asked for her hero's name. "Who are you?" He confidently replied, "My name is Naruto Uzumaki and I'm going to become the next Hokage." "Hokage? You're a leaf.nin?" she questioned hopefully. "Yeah, me and my team came to help save you and the rest of the villagers." Remembering all of her fellow villagers who had been killed by the monsters who had captured them, the girl began to sob once more and simply grabbed Naruto and dug her head. "There are no other villagers, I'm the only one left," she sobbed into Naruto's chest. Feeling depressed and upset that they hadn't arrived in time to save the others, Naruto simply held the girl. She sobbed into his chest, "I've never been this scared before in my life." Naruto pulled the girl away and grabbed her chin so she could look directly into his seductive eyes because he couldn't bear to see her cry. "Listen, miss," he said. She introduced herself as Akiko to Naruto. "Akiko, I promise that I will get you out of here and back home with your family, even if it means I have to sacrifice my life," Naruto stated to her. "Really?" she inquired, her eyes full of hope. He assured her, "Of course, I never go back on my word, because that's my nindo, believe it." Akiko gave Naruto an even closer, "arigato," hug while gazing at him with such admiration that she began to cry happy tears. With a smile on his face, Naruto comforted her by letting her cry on his chest and massaging the back of her head. Unfortunately, when someone behind Naruto cleared their throat, the pleasant moment came to an end. Naruto turned to face Sakura, who was glaring at him and Sasuke without showing any emotion. Sakura said, "Naruto, what exactly are you doing?" in a sarcastic tone. Glancing over Naruto's shoulder, Akiko saw a girl with pink hair wearing a red battle dress and what appeared to be an emo with a duck-like hairstyle. Akiko questioned Naruto, who was afraid of these two newcomers. Who are they? With confidence in her eyes, Akiko grinned at Naruto and said, "Don't worry, they're my teammates, they're going to help me get you out of here, okay?" "Sakura, do you have an extra pair of shorts for Akiko?" "What makes you think I got an extra pair?" Akiko winced a little when Senin said, "Women are always prepared, or at least that's what he tells me." "Don't worry Akiko, he's not here and besides he's not one of those sick bastards who would defile a woman, he's an honorable shinobi like me," Akiko said, which caused him to relax and smile. "The two of you go behind one of those rocks so I can help her and if you two dare take a peek I am going to slam your heads straight into the ground making you two look like a pair of ostriches," she threatened, pushing Naruto aside so she would be in front of Akiko. Naruto ran behind one of the massive rocks, not daring to look behind it, and just stood there, staring straight ahead. She gave him a peace sign and stuck out her tongue, saying, "That means you too, Sasuke-kun. Just because I really like you doesn't mean I won't use any force against you." Sasuke simply said, HN, and proceeded to the enormous rock. In another part of the enormous mountain 50 sound, Nins made up a small battalion that was racing through a tunnel. One of the sound. Nin said, time to kill those brats. Another told the bloodlust sound. Nin, calm down, you moron, remember we're supposed to capture the Uchiha alive. Got it, but can we still rape Pinky and the chained up bitch? The sound. Nin rhetorically asked, what do you think? Alright. As the battalion approached the cavern, they all paused to see that someone was blocking their path. The man stood erect and motionless. He had black spiky hair and a long black cloak that reached his ankles with red clouds on it. His orange mask, shaped like a swirl with a hole on the right side, obscured his face. The bloodlust sound. Nin demanded, hey asshole, get out of the way. We're in the mood to kill and rape and you're standing in the way, so beat it. The man simply stood there and stared at them, frightening them a little. You pieces of trash love to murder and rape innocents. I shouldn't have expected anything less from the subordinates of Orochimaru. He really is an atrocious leader to his own village, said the man. With a furious sound, what did you say about Orochimaru, Sama? I said he is a pitiful excuse for a leader, only caring for himself and not teaching those the way of peace like a true leader. All he is good for is to let disgusting rats like you run around this world considering it yours. Thinking you can do anything you wish with no regrets or negative consequences. How disgraceful. The sound. Nin were falling to the ground or on their knees, struggling to breathe, as he began to leak killer intent from his body. You are worse than trash, every single one of you, including Orochimaru. This world and its people would be better off without any of you, and I shall be the one to dispose of this litter. His eye then glowed red, permanently. Returning to Kakashi. That takes care of that, now to find those three, Kakashi said, putting his forehead protector back over his left eye after finishing the group of 12 sound. Suddenly, he felt a tremendous amount of ki directly down deeper into the cavern. That much killer intent, I have to find them, he said, running further into the cavern. Outside, away from the mountain 4 sound. Nin were standing far from the mountain. 3 were dressed normally and wearing masks, while 1 was wearing heavy armor and had a mask over his face. Thanks to a paper seal on his back that enables him to connect to the shinobi's chakra signatures, one of the sound. Nins was meditating while focusing on the mountain's shinobi. Then the sound. Nin felt the battalion's chakra signatures begin to fade, and he gasped. What's wrong, Takaru? The heavy, armored sound. Nin inquired. It's the battalion General Dai, their chakra signatures are dropping. Another sound. Nin offered his opinion, saying, I guess Hitaki was too much for them. It's not Hitaki, it's someone else, someone stronger, Takaru stated to them, and their chakra signature, it feels similar to the Uchiha. With the exception of Dai, who simply grunted in response, I had a feeling something like this would have happened, the other sound. Nin's eyes widened. Dai then raised his index and middle fingers and yelled, Kai. Abruptly, a massive variety of explosions erupted from the mountain's interior. 3 other sound. Nin yelled, what the hell? I placed thousands of explosive tags inside just in case something like this would happen, Dai stated to them. One of the sound. Nin exclaimed, you're going to cave them in? You see, that stone structure isn't really a mountain, it's a volcano, the 3 other sound. Nin said, raising their eyebrows in bewilderment. No Ishii, I'm doing much more than that. Alongside Sakura, Akiko, Sasuke, and Naruto, Sakura had yet to assist Naruto and Sasuke in dressing Akiko. Sasuke, Naruto began, why do you hate me? Sasuke simply said nothing. I just don't understand, I don't hate you, so why do you still hate me? I thought we were past this. Sasuke simply did not say anything. If you're not going to talk, then at least listen to me. Sasuke continued to be silent. Sasuke, I know we fight all the time, but you mean a lot to me, you're my friend, in fact you're my best friend. Sasuke continued to be silent. All my life I've been chasing after you, at first it was to pass you, but now, I just want to walk by you, and I know the same goes for Sakura. Naruto was staring at the ground. Sasuke, I see you as a rival, as a comrade, as my best friend, but most of all, I see you as the brother I've always wanted. After a brief period of silence, Sasuke questioned, why are you telling me this? I know this'll sound strange, but I don't think I'm going to come back from this mission. Sasuke's eyes widened as he said, I don't know how, but I got this feeling in my gut that I won't be coming back alive. After saying, shut up, Sasuke turned to face Naruto. Sakura shouted, okay, you guys can come back. When Naruto jogged back to them, he noticed that Sakura had given Akiko her entire wardrobe of extra clothes, including her battle dress and sandals. She was dressed exactly like Sakura, with the exception that she still had Naruto's jacket on. Hey, I see you're fully clothed, Akiko-chan. As she grudgingly began to remove her jacket, Akiko blushed at the suffix added to her name and nodded. Thank you for giving me your jacket, you may have it back now if you wish, she said, but Naruto grabbed it and wrapped it around her once more. You can keep it, I got more at home, she was assured. Besides I can tell you like it so I don't mind one bit as long as you feel safe with it. Naruto-kun, Akiko blushed as she gazed into his captivating eyes once more with admiration and affection. Sakura glared at the two, feeling the heat rise in her cheeks. Inner Sakura remarked, well, look who's jealous. Me? A bit jealous of this girl and Naruto? Yes, exactly. Inner Sakura sounded smug when she said, go ahead and act that way, but I'm your inner, I know what you really feel. Stop talking. Anyway, we should really get going guys, Sakura said, severing her connection to her inner self. Naruto concurred with his crush, saying, you're right, Sakura-chan. After that, the four set out until the ground began to tremble. Sakura cried out, what the hell is going on? Then, out of nowhere, a lava plume erupted from the earth behind them. Both Sakura and Naruto exclaimed, lava, as the four young teenagers ran for the tunnel. Sasuke commanded, come on, we have to get out of here. However, they were abruptly stopped when more lava plumes erupted, blocking the tunnel. Lava then filled the cavern. Team 7 and Akiko realized they were encircled by molten magma as they withdrew. Sakura exclaimed, what do we do now? Hold me Sasuke-kun. Sakura leapt to Sasuke, her arms spread wide, only to be met with the ground as Sasuke stepped aside. With her restricting me, I will not die. Akiko cried, Naruto-kun, I'm scared, and grabbed his arm, squeezing it until it was dead. Looking around for a way out, Naruto discovered another tunnel entrance on the upper right. Letting go of Akiko's arm, he ran to his right and made a cage bushin that boosted the original Naruto by locking its fingers together. While he was in the air, he made another cage bushin that grabbed his arm and threw him even higher. When he reached a certain height, Naruto made his trademark hand gesture and yelled, Taju Kage Bushin no Jutsu. A group of Naruto clones then materialized and began grabbing each other's legs. When the bottom clone hit the ground, he swung all of the clones in the direction of the tunnel entrance, allowing the original Naruto to grab the ledge and say, guys climb on. Sasuke help Akiko up here. Reluctantly, Akiko climbed onto Sasuke's back and said, hop on. Now hold on, Sasuke said, nodding and bending his back towards Akiko. Then, he leapt on the backs of the Naruto clones and began to run up them, Sakura following. Fortunately for Naruto, Sasuke grabbed his hand and pulled him up after they eventually dispelled all the clones. Thanks Sasuke. Everyone nodded when he said, let's just hurry up, before they dashed into the tunnel. They came to a complete stop as they ran farther into the tunnel upon discovering more sound.nin corpses. Sakura stammered in terror, what happened here? I don't know, but I think it's best we don't find out, Sasuke remarked as he sprinted farther into the tunnel, followed by Sakura, Naruto, and Akiko. They arrived at another cavern as they all reached the end of the tunnel. Naruto yelled, okay, let's go, as he was ready to flee, but a lava plume emerged from the earth. Sakura shouted, Naruto, you need to be more careful. Guys. Akiko and Team 7 anticipated seeing Kakashi perched on a ledge across the cavern. Kakashi. Sensei. Guys, the place is collapsing and erupting, you guys have to get to me. The three nodded and began running in an attempt to cross over while avoiding as many lava, fire, and steam plumes as they could. Since Sasuke had his Sharingan activated, everyone was following him so he could guide them to safety without being hurt by any of the plumes. To the right, Sasuke said. To what? Naruto inquired. The left side of Naruto's body was abruptly burned by a plume of intense flames that shot out of the ground. HHHHHHHHHH was the sound of Naruto's screams, which caused Team 7 and Akiko to turn to face him. Naruto! They exclaimed. Naruto used all of his willpower to get up, but as he looked up, he saw a huge boulder fall from the ceiling, threatening to crush Sakura, Akiko, and Sasuke. No, he exclaimed. When Sasuke, Sakura, and Akiko looked up to see that the boulder was going to crush them, they were abruptly pushed aside before the boulder hit the ground hard. No! Cried Kakashi. When Sakura, Akiko, and Sasuke looked up, they saw that the boulder was atop Naruto's left side. Kami no! Sakura yelled her teammate's name at the top of her lungs, Naruto. While Sasuke was attempting to push the boulder off, Sakura and Akiko ran to Naruto's side and stood by him. Damn it, why couldn't I have mastered that technique of cage bushin? While running next to Sasuke, Kakashi attempted to assist him in removing the boulder, but it didn't move an inch. Kakashi punched the boulder and cursed, damn it. Naruto was able to choke out, gee. Guys, while sounding weak and exhausted. Naruto. Sakura uttered his name while crying. In an attempt to persuade both himself and Naruto, Sasuke told his friend, hang in there Dobi, we're going to get you out of here. After going through some hand signals, Kakashi's hand suddenly exploded with lightning, saying, get back. Kakashi then attempted to smash his Chidori into the boulder, but it was only indented into it and didn't destroy it. He was so distraught and angry that he tore his Chidori from the boulder and then repeatedly sank it in, repeating the process. Naruto choked out, S. Sens.say page P. Please, just stop, D.Don, TW. Waste your CH. Chakra on me. After turning off his Chidori, Kakashi continued to punch the boulder while saying, Naruto, I'm so sorry. He then began to sob, I failed Obito, I failed your father, and now I failed you. D. Don't W. Worry about it, why? You were a G. Good sensei, S. Sure you didn't teach me much, but you didn't turn your back on me either, and that makes you a great sensei in my book. Naruto's remarks made Kakashi weep more. Akiko. Chan, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can keep my promise to Y.U. It doesn't matter Naruto.kun, you saved my life, and I could never thank you enough for that. Akiko sobbed as she took Naruto's hand and held it even tighter while shedding tears on the ground. Sasuke turned to face Naruto and said, those things I said a while ago, it was all true. Even if we aren't related by blood, I will always consider you my brother, he concluded with his signature smile. Then Sasuke began to cry. All he had been doing was treating Naruto badly, but Naruto had always thought of Sasuke as his own brother, someone very valuable to him, and now Sasuke was going to lose the only person he could ever call a friend. Naruto smiled and said, come on, D.Don, TBS. Such a crybaby. Sasuke gasped and used his arm warmer to wipe away his tears. Damn it Dobi. With tears still streaming from her eyes, Sakura turned to face Naruto and said, I just wanted you to know that I truly did mean it when I said that I wanted to kiss your forehead. When Sakura realized the truth, her eyes widened in shock. She began to sob uncontrollably and then buried her head in Naruto's chest, pleading with him not to die. You can't die, you baka, she cried. Then, as rocks, stalactites, fire plumes, lava, and steam erupted and pooled everywhere, the area began to collapse. Kakashi said, we have to go. Sakura shouted, no, we have to save Naruto. Sasuke informed her, there's nothing we can do, Sakura. He went wide-eyed as she yelled, shut your fucking mouth, I'm not leaving without him. Sakura, if you stay here then you'll die too. Everyone's eyes widened except for Naruto's when she yelled, then let me die, I'm not going to leave his side anymore, not again. Sakura's eyes widened as she said, I love you, Sakura, looking at Naruto. That's why I don't want you to stay here with me. I want you to live your life, please, just go. Sakura sobbed uncontrollably and said, I'm sorry, Naruto, but I can't live my life without you. I understand, Kakashi. Sensei, with a nod, Kakashi seized Sakura, raised her, and began removing her. No stop, let me go, he needs me, stop it, stop, Naruto. As Sasuke was about to depart after bending over to allow Akiko to climb on his back, he heard Naruto's voice once more. Sasuke, protect Sakura. Chan. Before rushing out of the cavern, Sasuke turned around and gave his best friend one final nod. As he lay there, Naruto recalled that he needed to complete one final task before going into his eternal sleep, Kyuubi. The Biju King mockingly remarked, so you decided to waste your last moments talking to me, I'm honored. Listen, I don't have that much time, so please let me speak, Kyuubi said, raising one of its eyebrows in confusion. I've been treated horribly all my life. I've been ignored, insulted, and targeted as the reason for everyone's loss and misery, and it took me this long to realize that I've been doing the same thing to you, Kyuubi said, listening to his vessel's words. When we first met, I treated you as the villagers treated me, and I remembered that there was something familiar about your eyes. And now I realize that you had the same eyes that I had whenever a villager talked to me like that, filled with anger and sadness, but hiding it behind a mask, so in a way we're the same, sort of. Sorry to rush things, but get to the point, the lava's coming to burn your skin off. What I'm trying to say is that if I had one regret, it would be that I never gave you a chance to do what I've always wanted in my life. Kyuubi's eyes grew wide. A chance, was that what he truly desired? The Kyuubi listened intently as he said, "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and it was nice to meet you. I want to do this right because we have a little time left." Kyuubi said, "Kurama," while closing his eyes. "What?" Naruto inquired. "My real name is Kurama. I guess someone deserved to know my real name before I kicked the bucket, and it was nice to have known you, Naruto Uzumaki." "Thank you, Kurama. Do you think that if we did this earlier, we would have gone down a different path?" Naruto said with a smile and a tear. "Yes, Kit, I do," Kurama replied. "It was nice knowing you, Kurama, thank you." Kurama laughed at Naruto's statement. "I bet there would have been so much more ramen down it." Naruto then closed his eyes, anticipating an undoubtedly agonizing death, but when he opened them, he saw a man with spiky hair similar to his own, but black, wearing a black cloak with red clouds on it and an orange spiral mask on his face. The man in the mask said to Naruto, "Don't be afraid, young one, I am here to save you." Naruto questioned feebly, "Are you my guardian angel?" He informed him, "Yes, I am your guardian angel." Then, with a feeble laugh, Naruto said, "Kurama, look, we're saved." Kurama's eyes widened as he opened them and peered through his container's eyes, but he said, "No, not you." As the darkness began to take over, Kurama frantically exclaimed, "Naruto, no, don't trust him, he's not a guardian angel, that's Madara Uchiha, he's the one who made me attack your village." Unfortunately, Naruto was barely able to react, saying, "Naruto, Naruto." Alongside Team 7 by returning the final survivor to her village, the team had fulfilled their mission. It turns out that Akiko was the daughter of the village chief, who was overjoyed to give Team 7 a substantial financial reward for saving his daughter. However, when he learned that Naruto was the real hero and what had happened, he was devastated. As a result, the village erected a statue of the young hero in honor of his heroic sacrifice, using a picture of Team 7 that showed his face thanks to Kakashi. Naruto now had two monuments from two different villages dedicated to him. Now, Team 7 was standing in front of the Hokage Tower in the village. "You two go home. I guarantee that what's going to happen up there when I break the bad news to Lady Hokage isn't going to be pleasant." Sakura's teary eyes and Sasuke's hollow ones simply nodded as their sensei entered the tower. Sasuke looked at Sakura. "Sakura, listen. Naruto made me promise to protect you from now on. I think you deserve to know." Sakura simply responded with a nod. Sasuke simply stared at her with sorrowful eyes. Of the team, she had been most affected by Naruto's passing, and his final words had altered her completely, whether for the better or worse. Thinking she needed consolation, he tried to give her a hug, but Sakura simply shoved him away. "Sasuke, don't. I know it was just for comfort, but I don't feel that way about you anymore," she stated. Sasuke asked, a little concerned that she no longer considered them to be friends. "Are we at least still friends?" "Of course we are, Sasuke," she said, turning to face him with tears still in her eyes and a melancholy smile. Sasuke grinned with relief that she no longer used the "kun" suffix in his name and that she still thought of him as a friend. Hokage Tsunade's voice exclaimed, "What?" Then all of a sudden, a desk was hurled through the wall and was falling directly in the direction of Sakura and Sasuke. Sasuke instinctively shoved Sakura and himself aside before it crashed into the ground and disintegrated. Sakura shoved Sasuke away, saying, "I'm a kunoichi, remember I could have dodged that on my own." Sasuke stated solemnly, "I know that, Sakura, but I promised Naruto that I would protect you, and I intend to keep the promise I made to my brother." Sakura simply grinned and said, "Then I'll live my life as he asked as well. I'm going to live like a true kunoichi." She then raised her fist and exclaimed, "Believe it." Sasuke grinned at his friend, pleased that she would fulfill his brother's final request for her. "Thank you, Sakura." Within the Hokage Tower, "It's all my fault," Tsunade said, sobbing uncontrollably while on her knees. "I should have never given your team that mission." Kakashi tried to console her by saying, "Lady Hokage, no one is to blame," but Tsunade slammed him into the wall while holding his collar. "Shut up, it is my fault. I did this. Enough." Kakashi spoke in a voice that shocked her. "Lady Tsunade, I apologize for raising my voice, but Naruto died saving his comrades like a true shinobi, and he wouldn't want you to feel hatred for yourself just because of a decision he chose to do that anyone else would have done, including you." Tsunade just let go of Kakashi and collapsed to her knees once more. "You're right," she sobbed. "You're absolutely right, Kakashi. It's just. Tsunade just kept crying, grieving for her favorite knucklehead. When Kakashi turned to see Shizune sobbing uncontrollably in her hands on the office couch, he went to sit next to her and put his arm around her shoulder to console her. She exclaimed, "I miss him so much." "We all do," Kakashi informed her. After that, Shizune embraced Kakashi and sobbed into his chest, which he permitted. "Hey, what's going on? Jiraiya. Sama," was Jiraiya when Kakashi looked through the office hole. When Jiraiya noticed Tsunade sobbing on the ground, he approached her and put his hand on her shoulder, asking, "Tsunade, what's wrong?" With teary eyes, Tsunade told her friend and former teammate what had transpired. What? The funeral for Naruto, with the exception of the villagers and clan members who were compelled to attend, everyone from Junin, Chunin, Anbu, Genin, and those who knew Naruto attended his funeral out of respect. A few shinobi and villagers laughed when they heard the statement, "We have come here to mourn the loss of a valiant shinobi who gave his life for his comrades in his village, Naruto Uzumaki. He had played an important part in all our lives as a friend, shinobi, and hero, and although some may disagree, he livened up the village with his happy attitude and pranks. Given the circumstance, I believe it is best to explain something to all of you. 13 years ago on the night of October 10th, the Kyuubi had attacked our village. It had been said that the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, sacrificed his life to kill it, but what you of the younger generation have been taught by your parents and instructors at the academy, this is not the truth. You cannot kill a Biju, so the fourth had to seal the Kyuubi in an infant child, his own son. The Hokage stated, leaving the older generation wide-gazed. Naruto Uzumaki, or as he was born Naruto Namikaze, was the container or Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. He was a sacrifice to keep the Kyuubi from destroying everything we hold dear. I ask you to remember this as we grieve Naruto's passing. Despite the fact that Naruto was the son of the village's hero, the fourth Hokage, everyone was shocked. The Genin and Naruto's friends were astounded by the terrible burden Naruto had to bear throughout his life, and the majority of them only served to compound the pain he had to endure. Because she was one of the people who had mistreated Naruto and all he ever did was love her and treat her like a princess, Sakura had shed more tears. And there is something else I feel I have to tell. Tsunade began to attract the interest of everyone. For those who are older or the same age as myself, I bet you all know that back during the time of the Second Great Shinobi War, that thanks to my old friend Jiraiya I was pregnant with a child. Those who were unaware of this were taken aback. And as you all know, someone had put an assassination attempt on my child. That person who had assigned it was my former teammate turned missing Nin Orochimaru. When the shinobi and senior civilian heard the traitor's name and what he had done, their blood began to boil. All of you had believed that my child was killed, but recently I had learned in the files of my old sensei third Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi, that my child had somehow survived and was found by a woman who worked in an old orphanage. The survival of the Senju heir shocked everyone. He grew up to be a great man, shinobi and hero. My son was originally named Nawaki Senju in honor of my younger brother, but you all knew him as fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze. Everyone was shocked once more because their hero, the fourth Hokage, was the heir to the Senju clan and the son of two of the three fabled Sannin. This meant that Naruto was also a Senju, making him royalty and the heir apparent, assuming he survived. Now that that's out of the way, would anyone like to say a few words? Sasuke shocked everyone by saying, "I would." Some of the rowdy girls let out a few Sasuke.kun, coos, but Sasuke and Sakura's glares quickly put an end to them. Wiping the few tears from his eyes, Sasuke walked past the crowd onto the balcony and turned to face them. Naruto Uzumaki was my rival, my best friend, and even though the same blood did not course through our veins, I considered him my brother. Throughout the academy you all knew him as the dead last. He earned the title shinobi through hard work and determination. He knew exactly what it meant to be a shinobi. During our mission, myself along with Sakura, Naruto and a captured girl we had found were dashing through a cavern that was caving in and erupting with lava and flames. The left side of Naruto's body was severely burned by an erupting plume of fire, and yet with what little strength he had pushed the rest of us out of the way from being crushed by a boulder, saving us in the process, but sealing his own fate as well. I ask that we all remember Naruto for who he was, a great shinobi and a better friend. Sasuke had then stepped down and went to join Sakura in the crowd. The entire village, along with his friends and co-workers, were both shocked and inspired by Naruto's last moments. As instructed by the Uchiha, they all bowed their heads in remembrance of the fallen hero. They no longer viewed him as the demon child or an annoying prankster with no talent. As a true shinobi of the leaf, he lived and died. Following the brief period of silence, a small ensemble of musicians started playing gloomy tunes as Naruto's casket was lowered into the ground. White incarnation flowers were thrown into his grave as a sign of respect by his friends, sensei, senpais, grandparents, and even some Anbu who had grown up watching him. The coffin was entirely covered in dirt after a short while. Tears were streaming down many of the villagers and shinobi's faces as they started to return home. Only Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata, and Naruto's grandparents remained after Naruto's friends gradually departed. Hinata was sobbing uncontrollably because she regretted not telling him how she felt. I guess he was really important to you. Hinata glanced to her left and saw Sasuke staring at her. Yes, she replied, but B. Now T. That H. He's G. Gone. H. He always I. Inspired M.MET.TO believe in M. Myself. Hinata turned to face Sasuke and said, if you genuinely care about Naruto, then honor him by believing in yourself. B. But I don't K. No H. How, she said as Sasuke touched her shoulder. He smiled as he assured her, then I'll help you, along with the rest of the rookie genin, you have my word. T. Thank you Sasuke.kun, was Hinata's new way of looking at Sasuke. He offered to walk you home, which she accepted. Sakura, Tsunade, and Jiraiya departed as they headed to the Hyuga compound. Sakura glanced over to Naruto's grave. I'm so sorry, she said. I have a feeling you already forgave me. But I still wanted to tell you, I never knew what you saw in me. But to tell the truth, when Sasuke told me that you saved me from Gaara, I saw you in a whole new light. You were still a baka. But you were the most courageous and sweetest baka I've ever known, and I actually looked up to you, even though I clearly didn't show it. I don't think this'll make any kind of difference now, but I just wanted to tell you, I love you. I love you and I always will. I just wish I could have told you it while you were still alive. That's my biggest regret and I'll have to live with it my entire life. Thank you for loving me Naruto.kun. She closed her eyes. I'm sorry about all of this Tsunade. Sama, I just wish I was stronger so that maybe, she said, turning to face Tsunade and bowing her head. Tsunade then placed a hand on her shoulder, causing her to look up and see a compassionate, maternal smile. Sakura, don't blame yourself. Naruto gave his life for you. I wish he was here as well and I miss him so much, but I am proud of what he did and I'll always be glad that I got to meet him before it happened. Sakura gave an understanding nod, and if you want to really become stronger then meet me tomorrow in my office. Why? You mean? Sakura's eyes widened, and the Hokage nodded. Thank you, Lady Hokage. I swear I won't let you or Naruto down. I know you won't Sakura, you're a good girl and you're just like her. Who? Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto's mother. I know that just like her you'll become an amazing kunoichi. Sakura bowed her head once more and smiled before bidding the Sannin farewell and walking home, leaving Jiraiya and Tsunade behind. Tsunade lamented, I shouldn't have given them that damn mission. Stop beating yourself up, Naruto and Minato wouldn't have wanted you to be this way, Jiraiya advised her. She covered her mouth and sobbed, saying, I know, but I just can't help myself. I just miss them both so much. Tsunade, Jiraiya said, putting his arm around her. I swear, no matter what, I'll always be by your side. Jiraiya gave Tsunade a hug in return and sobbed, thank you, Jiraiya, into his chest. Anytime Haim, he said, embracing her with tenderness and heart. At Sakura's house Sakura removed her sandals as she entered her house. I'm making your favor tonight, Sakura heard her mother Mebuki call her name. She said to her mother, thanks mom, but I'm just really tired and I just want to go to bed. Her mother questioned, are you sure? Yes ma'am. Mebuki gave her only daughter a hug and said, okay, my little blossom. Your father and I will always be here for you. Sakura gave her mother a hug in return and said, I know, I love you, mom. I love you too Sakura. After that, Sakura left her mother and went directly to her room. Sakura's father, Kazashi, walked beside his wife and put his arm around her, saying, I hope she'll be alright. I hope so Kazashi, I really do. Sakura undressed and sat on her bed. She noticed her photo of Team 7 on her nightstand. Before lying down and sobbing herself to sleep, she grabbed the picture, opened the cabinet of her nightstand, took out a red marker, uncapped it, and drew a heart around herself and Naruto. She then held the picture and said, I love you, Naruto, one last time. At Training Ground 7, the following morning, it just won't be the same without you brother, Sasuke said as he waited for his sensei and teammate to arrive while gazing into the water beneath the bridge he was standing on and thinking back to the good old days when Naruto was still alive. Glad to see you're still here, Kakashi. Sensei? I'm surprised you got here before Sakura, said Sasuke, turning to face his sensei on his right. Right, about that, You see, Lady Hokage had informed me that she'll be training Sakura from now on, which means from here on out we'll be training one-on-one, Kakashi told his pupil. Sasuke questioned, so Team 7 is over? Team 7 is temporarily disbanded for now, but we will get back together someday, but until then I'll be teaching you along with a colleague of mine. Who? Enko Midarashi, the only other person in the village who has the curse mark and utilized it, but for today I will be teaching you. Then can I make a suggestion? Kakashi responded with a nod. I wish to learn Kenjutsu, Sasuke said as he grabbed a sheathed katana at the end of the bridge. Kakashi nodded and said, all right then. Just keep an eye on Naruto. I'll get stronger to defend Sakura and pay tribute to your memory. In the Hokage Tower, Sakura knocked on the office doors after standing in front of them. Come in, Tsunade said. Sakura bowed respectfully as she entered the room. Good to see you, Sakura. Tsunade rose from her seat. I hope you're prepared, because for the next 3 years I'm going to give you the most intense training you'll ever experience. Tsunade grinned as Sakura firmly said, Hi Lady Hokage. Just watch me, Naruto. I'm going to get stronger and live up to your memory, believe it. At an unidentified place, Naruto was lying on a bed, his left side bandaged, but he was still breathing and very much alive. Without looking at the boy, the man wearing the orange spiral mask stood in the room with his arms crossed. How is he doing? Looking to his right, the masked man saw a long-haired brunette woman wearing the same cloak as him. She was wearing a white mask with 2 purple rectangle marks on it, one on each cheek, and sideways triangle-shaped eye holes. Well, he still hasn't woken up yet, but he's still breathing. No doubt the Kyuubi is helping in his recovery. The orange-masked man replied. The poor child, was the masked woman's worried statement. The woman tilted her head in confusion as the masked man said, This feels weird. I was in the same position as him years ago. The only difference is I'm not going to turn him into what he made me into, she said, and he gladly returned the hug. Come on, let's let him rest. After giving her a nod, the man in the mask trailed her into the next room. Where am I? Naruto asked as he slowly opened his eyes after lying on the bed and breathing peacefully. When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw that he was in what appeared to be a bedroom. What the hell? He exclaimed as he looked down at his body and saw that the left half of it was covered in bandages. I see you're awake, Kurama, Naruto muttered. Naruto listened to me carefully. Before you fell unconscious, Madara Uchiha had appeared in the cavern. Madara Uchiha? I think I heard that name somewhere before. He's the man who used me as a tool to help him fight the first Hokage. How did he do that? With that damn Sharingan of his, replied Kurama. The Sharingan has the ability to take control of one's mind, but an advanced one used by a powerful member of the Uchiha clan can take over the mind of a Biju, including me. In fact, he's the one that made me attack your village. That son of a bitch, was said angrily, and Naruto's eyes widened. Then he heard a sound like a record player scratching, followed by a happy male voice asking, where are we anyway? I don't know, but I think it's best we don't stay any longer to find out. Then Naruto attempted to stand up, but the bandages were starting to bother him. Using his teeth and some of Kurama's chakra, which he let Naruto use, he tore the bandages off, exposing his left side. With burned scars on his left side and a crushed M.My body. Appearance. Naruto's eyes widened at the sight. I'm sorry, kid, I tried the best I could, but your body was too damaged, leaving still looking crushed and of course the burn scars. Thank you, Kurama. At least you tried. In response, the nine-tailed Biju King grunted. Naruto slowly got out of bed, still experiencing pain in his left side. He then began to walk and eventually arrived at the room where the music was coming from, where he noticed what he believed to be an odd object. In the center of the room he saw a man and a woman dancing to what appeared to be a love song, their faces beaming with joy. In addition to having short, spiky black hair, the man's right side appeared crushed, much like Naruto's left, but it was more severe on the face, whereas Naruto's forehead, chin, and bottom lip were crushed. Additionally, unlike Naruto, the man had no burn scars. The giggling woman had long brunette hair styled like Sakura's hair did prior to the second stage of the Chunin exams, 2 purple rectangular tattoos on her cheeks, one on each side, and serene brown eyes. Sakura. Naruto just understood that he needed to return to Konoha. Naruto rushed to what appeared to be the front door after spotting it, attracting the couple's attention. Wait! Exclaimed the man. Naruto chose to ignore him, but he also didn't see the sandals on the floor, which caused him to trip and fall. As he hit the ground hard, Naruto let out a cry of agony, feeling a sharp pain on his terrified left side. As the two rushed to him and assisted him in standing up, the man halted the recording. They returned him to the room and placed him back on the bed. Naruto questioned, "Who are you guys?" Naruto didn't take the man's joke that, "We're Shinigami, seriously. Please don't gut out my soul and cut it to RIBBODS, please forgive me." Naruto cried out in horror and began to cry anime tears. "See what you did, you've completely frightened the boy," the woman said, giving the man a glare and slapping him across the back of the head. The man defended himself, saying, "I didn't know he was going to take me seriously." "Naruto, it's all right, we're not Shinigami and we're not going to hurt you, you have my word," the woman said with a maternal smile as she put a warm, consoling hand on Naruto's shoulder to get his attention. Even though he didn't know her, Naruto nodded his head in agreement, asking, "Miss, do you think I could go home now?" Her words gave him a sense of security that he had never experienced in his own village. "That's the thing, kid," said the man. "We can't let you go home, at least not yet anyway. You'll understand soon enough. I have some people I'd like you to meet and a chance I'd like to give you, but for now you have to rest, you're not at full strength yet." "But I have to rest now, Naruto-kun. Seriously, how are you going to become Hokage if you don't get your strength back?" the woman said, pushing Naruto back into bed. "How do they know about my dream?" Naruto asked, his eyes widening. "What on earth are these individuals?" The man laughed at his expression. "We've been watching you for quite some time now, and as creepy as that be, we had a good reason. As soon as you're fully healthy again, we'll explain everything. Sleep." After that, Naruto closed his eyes slowly, allowing the darkness to take over. Before long, he was fast asleep. Afterwards, Naruto opened his eyes and heard a commotion coming from the other room as he got out of bed. Naruto decided to enter the next room after rubbing his eyes from exhaustion, only to discover he was only wearing his underwear. Then he noticed a cloak with red clouds on it on his bed. He grabbed it, put it on, and found it to be incredibly warm and comfortable. "Oh yeah, now this is what all clothing should feel like. Huh, I think I've seen this before somewhere, TTEBAO." Naruto then went to the other room to see the man and the woman, who had red hair, eyes with purple ripples, and two faces he never expected to see here. Itachi and Fish Face. Why on earth are they in this place? The floorboard creaked beneath Naruto's foot as he was ready to return to the other room, causing the other person to turn to face him and make him gulp, "I am so dead." He was reluctant to eat the ramen that the brunette woman brought him, but she said, "Ah, Naruto-kun, you're up, here. Now go on, it won't bite." He swiftly grabbed the bowl of ramen and took a 2-second breath after realizing the woman would not harm him. When Kisame noticed that the child was devouring krill faster than a whale shark, he thought, "Damn, the kid's got an appetite." "Oh my, Kami. That was better than Ichiraku's ramen. Is she the goddess of ramen? I knew she had to be real," Naruto exclaimed in ecstasy after finishing the bowl. With a drop of perspiration on his face, Kurama remarked, "You realize how retarded you sound?" Naruto nodded as the black-haired man said, "Okay, Naruto, I'm betting you want an explanation for everything?" He introduced himself and the brunette woman, saying, "Well, first off, our names. My name is Obito Uchiha. This is my lovely girlfriend, and soon-to-be wife, Rin." Naruto felt warm and secure when Rin grinned at him. "You said your name was Uchiha, but I thought he massacred all of you," Naruto said while addressing Itachi. "And speaking of him, why is he here along with Fish Face?" Hearing Kisame referred to as Fish Face made Obito laugh, which further infuriated the shark man. "I'm guessing you're on thin ice with them because of that time back at the hotel," Obito said. Naruto exclaimed, "You knew about that? They were sent there to test your skills, but of course in order to do that they had to be a bit intimidating. I hope you understand." "I guess," Naruto replied, remaining vigilant in case. Naruto's eyes widened as he gazed at the man in disbelief. "And finally, this man here with the red hair and creepy eyes is Nagato. He is a part of the Uzumaki clan like you. He is your distant cousin." Nagato approached Naruto with a small smile on his face and held out his hand. Naruto took Nagato's hand and shook it, his own hand shaking. Nagato grinned slightly and remarked, "It's good to finally meet you, Naruto." "He's my cousin. I don't believe it, I actually have a living relative," Naruto said, wiping a tear from his eye after bowing slightly and grinning broadly. "Now I bet you're wondering what you're doing here," replied Obito. "Yeah, actually I am. I mean, I was being crushed by a rock and then suddenly out of nowhere my guardian angel came and saved me." Rin's comment that, "Aw, that's so cute. He thinks of you as his own guardian angel, Obito," caused the terrified Uchiha to flush. Naruto looked at the man who had saved him and said, "You saved me? But why?" Naruto raised an eyebrow as Obito clarified, Well, you see Naruto, we all had our eyes on you for a while now and we were impressed by your abilities and actions that we wish for you to join our organization. Organization? Obito pointed to Naruto's stomach and remarked, yes, it's called the Akatsuki. Your skills would be very helpful to us, and your, roommate. In Naruto's mind, Kurama screamed, bite me asshole. So they are aware of you, but they don't give a damn? If I was in that room right now I'd make them care. Noticing his conduct, Rin touched Naruto's shoulder. Naruto-kun, no, we do care that the Kyuubi is within you, but not for the reasons you may think. We hold no grudge against you. The reason the Kyuubi is in you is partly our fault, but we see it as a gift. Think about it. How powerful would you be if you harnessed its power? That does sound good by your perspective, but I don't want to see Kurama as nothing but just a mere soulless tool. I already made peace with him and I only want to use his power when I rightfully deserve his trust in using it. Everyone's eyes widened at what Naruto said, including Kurama's. He reconciled with the Kyuubi? And he is aware of its name? He has to be the one, Nagato thought, and a tiny smile appeared on his face. Naruto just realized, wait a minute, what do you mean it's partly your fault? Obito was grinning. Naruto, I'm the reason the Kyuubi is within you. I set it loose on the village. During that time, I was being controlled and manipulated by an evil man. How would you feel if you lost the one you love right in front of your eyes? Just as Naruto was about to beat the living daylights out of Obito, he paused when he said, how would I feel if Sakura-chan died? Looking down at the floor with dark, hollow eyes, Naruto said gloomily, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I would probably just go insane. That happened to me, and the man took advantage of my emotional status at the time. I truly am sorry for causing you this pain, Naruto. I hope you can forgive me someday, Obito said sadly as Rin approached him and gave him a hug after he nodded. Naruto nodded but scowled. After a small smile, Obito looked at Nagato and said, thank you, Nagato. Kami has no idea where I would be at this moment if you hadn't brought Rin back to me. I can understand where you're coming from. The truth is I don't hate the fact that Kurama is within me. In fact I'm actually happy because we're friends now. The only downside about being his Jinchuriki was that the villagers treated me like a disease and a monster. But that was all their doing, not yours. What I'm trying to say is, I forgive you, Naruto said, surprising everyone with his sincere response. Naruto changed the topic and asked skeptically, so, what is the Akatsuki, anyway? Obito breathed a sigh of relief and glanced, Naruto, despite what you may think, this world, and the shinobi system that governs it, is insanely corrupted. Wars fought for no viable reason and the nations have never known peace. The cause of this corruption is a multitude of things. Greedy politicians looking to increase their finances, evil manipulators working from the dark to influence events, insane leaders that come into power. Recalling the events of the Land of Snow, Naruto remarked, like some whack job killing his own brother just to gain his high position. Exactly, I don't know how we aren't in a constant state of total war, said Obito with sadness. Naruto grimaced. He knew that things were bad in some places, but not all over the world. He never really paid attention in class, so he was not very familiar with world events. However, he was very skeptical that the academy would teach such things. If they had known what they would have to deal with, the students would have likely left the academy immediately. Then Itachi said, Naruto-kun, you're extremely lucky. In Konoha there is an elder named Danzo. Have you heard of him? Naruto gave a headshake. Danzo is the leader of a faction of Enbu known as Root. He is one of the most corrupted and evil individuals I have ever known. We did some research, and he intended to put you into the Root program to use you, and Kyuubi, as a weapon of war. Itachi sighed. The phrase, we've also learned that he had assisted Orochimaru into the village during the Chunin exams and with the invasion in hopes of ending the third's life so he may take the mantle as Hokage, made Naruto pale and wince a little. When Naruto learned that, he's the reason Orochi Teme gave Sasuke the curse mark and why Old Man Third died, his eyes widened. When I get my hands on him, I'll turn him into Kurama's new chew toy, said Naruto, clenching his fists and gritting his teeth. Kurama laughed at the reference to the chew toy. He also manipulated me into massacring my clan, which is an event I'm sure you are aware of. I had a choice between my clan and my village. I will explain in detail to you later, stated Itachi. Naruto was always able to determine someone's good character simply by observing their eyes. Now that he had a chance to look closely at Itachi's eyes, he could see that there was a hint of anger, guilt, and deep sadness in them. He's actually a good guy, I can tell, he said, knowing he wasn't lying. Kurama remarked, I guess all Uchihas aren't so bad. This is why we can't allow you to return to the village, at least not yet. If you were to return, without an official status of being alive and a genin, Danzo would surely swoop in at first chance to bring you into his ranks. 2 would lose your freedom, and would be locked up like an animal until he wanted to use you, Obito said. So this old fart has been planning this for me since I was a child? You just made my list, Danzo. The Akatsuki is a group of A to S ranked missing nin dedicated to peace. We are working from the shadows, eliminating the corruption from this world one man at a time. We also offer our services as mercenaries from time to time, though we only send our lower ranked members on those missions, according to Obito. Peace. That's what Ero Sennin said he wished for this world. Bringing peace is what a Hokage does, right? Inspired Naruto. To make the world and the village peaceful. As if he could read the blonde's thoughts, Nagato said, Naruto, my understanding is that you wish to become Hokage? Naruto gave a nod. That's a very admirable goal, and we will help you attain it in the future. If one of our members gains a position such as that, our influence will expand significantly. For a brief moment, Naruto was at a loss for words, but then he smiled broadly. Nobody had volunteered to assist him in becoming Hokage. He knew that these guys weren't attempting to control him like Danzo would, and he liked them. Obito said, so will you join us? Everyone, including Itachi, smiled as Naruto yelled, hell yeah, with a broad smile on his face. Jiraiya. Sensei, Nagato grinned at his young cousin. I think Naruto is the child of prophecy. The shinobi world will be at peace thanks to him. I don't have any doubts. Naruto, eager to begin joining, exclaimed, so what now? Well, first you tell us what are your skills, said Obito. Oh, well, I have a lot of chakra, and I'm pretty good with the Kage Bushin. My other talents are subpar, though I do pride myself in being good at stealth and evasion. Whenever I would pull pranks in the village, it would take a whole squad of Chunin or a couple Anbu members to get me, but it took them a while. He replied with a smug grin. Did Bakakashi teach you any of those skills? Replied Obito. Obito grinned and said, and no he didn't, all he taught me was how to climb a tree and something that had to do with a leaf. I know I said he was a good teacher the last time I saw him, but he wasn't really that good at teaching, as Naruto erupted in laughter and said, Bakakashi, good one. There's an unpleasant surprise, Obito joked. So you didn't even have proper training and you're that skillful? Impressive. I knew that the academy instructors were rather biased against you, Naruto. The fact that you could evade Anbu members proves that you do have strong talents in stealth. I think I know what to do with you. Obito laughed. Naruto gazed at him expectantly. How would you feel about being an assassin? It fits your style perfectly, plus with your enormous chakra reserves, you can easily switch to straight combat if need be. Freezing, Naruto said, an assassin? I've never considered becoming one, but would I be able to kill someone? Shinobi are designed to do just that, kill. Kurama attempted to calm Naruto's nerves by saying, look on the bright side, Kit. You'd be making the world a better place taking out all the trash in this world. Yes, I would. Kurama, thank you. Naruto thanked his friend. No problem, Kurama grinned. Naruto grinned slightly and said, okay, I'll give it a try. Then let's get to work, but first I want you to meet the rest of the group, said Obito, smiling and ruffling his hair. The 6 left the house and entered the forest. In the remote hideout, Naruto truly experienced a serene calmness that made him feel as though nothing could hurt him. They soon arrived at a mountainside with enormous metal doors. Please tell me there's no lava behind that door, replied Naruto. As he opened the doors, Nagato reassured Naruto, you're safe here. The 4 entered and saw a sizable subterranean outpost. It was filled with every kind of jutsu you could think of, as well as weapons and supplies. After passing through a corridor, they entered a spacious cavern where the other members were. A man with long silver hair slicked back said, hey, looks like the kid's still breathing. His cloak was partially zipped down, exposing his bare chest and an odd pendant around his neck. Obito introduced the young blonde as Naruto Uzumaki, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Naruto stepped forward and waved a little. Naruto was a little alarmed when the man appeared in front of him. He then grabbed his hand and began shaking it, saying, Sup, name's Hidan. It's good to see you're still part of the living. For the time being. A man in a mask with green eyes and a hoarse voice said, that's enough, Hidan. Remember, we're trying to show him we mean no harm. Hidan released Naruto's hand and said, yeah, I remember, just trying to have a little fun is all. It is nice to meet you. I look forward to working with you. My name is Kakuzu, and I am the treasurer of the Akatsuki, said the man in the mask as he approached him and bowed slightly. Naruto gave him a nod and a smile. A young boy with red hair approached Naruto, grinning, and extended his hand. My name's Sasori. I, too, look forward to working with you. Your growth will be interesting to watch. The boy's voice didn't match his age. Naruto shook his hand and observed that it had a texture similar to ceramic or plastic. A pretty woman with blue hair gave him a soft smile. Her lower lip was pierced. He blushed as she planted a tender kiss on his forehead. She said sweetly, My name is Conan, Naruto.kun. I hope we can be the best of friends. Naruto scratched the back of his head and smiled. A blond man with hair similar to his own, styled similarly to Ino's, stepped forward and held out his hand. When Naruto felt something slippery touch his palm, he yelled and pulled his hand back from his grip. The blonde was giggling as everyone else did. When Naruto noticed that his hand had a mouth on it and was smiling at him, he gagged. Gets them every time. My name's Deidara. I'm glad you're on our side, Naruto, he replied. I like that guy, he's a bit of a prankster, Naruto said with a nod. Another blonde baka prankster, the world is doomed, stated Kurama. I can tell by the amazement of silence from your audience that your stand-up comedy routine is really paying off. Up yours. Obito pointed to a man with orange, spiky hair who resembled Naruto and said, and finally, our leader, Yahiko. Naruto grinned after bowing respectfully. He jokingly said, I'm glad you're alive, Naruto-san. It'll be nice having you here. In my opinion, it's getting a bit dull. Conan gave him an elbow to the side, and Nagato sighed in irritation, but Yahiko just smiled. The exchange made Naruto smile because it brought back a lot of memories of Team 7. It's, nice to meet you all, Naruto stammered. He was upset because he had never encountered so many people who were not only nice to him but also appeared genuinely delighted to see him. Yahiko made Naruto smile when he said, just know, Naruto, that you have a home here. We are all unique in our own ways. A Jinchuriki isn't something we haven't encountered before, either. Yahiko's eyes widened slightly, Deidara and Conan winced, and Hidan grinned slyly as Naruto pulled down his left sleeve to reveal the remainder of his crushed side and the burned scars. Thanks, you have no idea what that means to me, he said solemnly, but I don't know how much help I can be because of this. When Deidara whispered, damn, the kid looks worse than Obito, Obito glared at her and Conan punched her, saying, ow. With a dejected expression on his face, Naruto remarked, even with Kurama's help, my left side is still useless for fighting, as if his stay had just begun. Obito grabbed Naruto's arm and examined it, saying, let me see that. Yahiko questioned Nagato, who's Kurama? Is it the Kyuubi? Yes. Apparently in his final moments, Naruto made peace with the Kyuubi, earning its trust and learned its true name. Nagato stated to his closest companion. Yahiko grinned and said, do you think that he's the one Jiraiya-sensei was speaking of? Without a doubt, was Nagato's response, and she nodded. Naruto scowled more as Obito remarked, yeah, that arm's definitely banged up like mine used to be. Fortunately, I have just the thing that'll make that thing brand new. Sort of. With his head cocked to the side in perplexity, Naruto glanced up at Obito. Excellent, Naruto. Again, Obito exclaimed with a smile. Then Naruto charged at him once more. Naruto delivered swift blows to Obito, including punches, kicks, and chops. Obito continued to smile while dodging Naruto's blows. He was pleased with how far Naruto had come in just 1 month. His taijutsu was impressive, he had better control over his chakra, his new jutsu arsenal was astounding, and the young man truly knew how to use a knife. He was getting better every day. Naruto took pride in his development, even though Obito refrained from using his space-time ninjutsu to dodge blows. He was definitely much stronger than he had been in the past. Rushing toward Obito, Naruto punched him. The Uchiha swerved, sweeping his leg out and hiding beneath the blonde. Leaping to his feet, Naruto sliced at Obito's neck with his free hand. The Uchiha used his elbow to block the attack. Nice move, but Obito quickly palmed Naruto in the face, causing him to poof away and revealing that he was a Kage Bushin. He then turned and grabbed the real Naruto's wrist, preventing him from becoming paralyzed. You're going to have to do better than that. As a group of Narutos leapt into the air holding Rasengans, Naruto grinned and a pair of hands grabbed Obito's feet. I win, Obito, they exclaimed. Not yet, Obito raised Naruto and hurled him directly at the clones that were ready for Rasengan. Oh crap, Naruto crossed his fingers and yelled, Kai, which caused the clones to disperse, but it wasn't over yet because Obito appeared directly in front of Naruto, his fist back. The force of Obito's punch sent Naruto crashing to the ground as he crossed his arms into what I like to call an X-block. With a groan, Naruto leapt back to get some distance from the Uchiha after getting back up in time to stop Obito's chop. Obito grinned and remarked, "Not bad, Naruto. I see that left arm of yours is doing well." "Yeah, it sure is, and it's going to be the arm that's going to land its fist right on your face." Naruto grinned. Obito laughed and said, "Maybe, when you're 50. Naruto glared at his mentor. Rin called out to the two, "Okay, you two, that's enough." Naruto pouted and remarked, "Aw man, I wanted to keep on going, TT Ibeo." As he and Naruto walked back to Rin, who grinned at them, Obito remarked, "Well, we all don't have the stamina you possess, kid. Now come on." Obito rubbed his neck and said, "Oh Rin, thank goodness you called for us." Naruto landed a hit right at the crick of my neck. Naruto replied, "No I didn't." Obito then palmed the top of his head, causing it to hurt. Ignoring the glare Naruto gave him, Obito blushed and said, "It's excruciating. I think I really need some healing." "Sit down," Rin commanded with a charming smile, simply shaking her head at Obito's small deception. "Ah, Rin, your healing touch is so good," was Obito's ecstatic sigh as he sat on the ground. When Naruto heard this, he started to throw up. "You may be disgusted now, but when you meet a beautiful woman like Rin with a healing touch, you'll think otherwise," Obito replied. "But I'm proud of you today, Naruto. You're really shaping up to be a great shinobi." Rubbing the back of his head, Naruto blushed ashamedly and said, "Ah, it was nothing, just learning from the best." Obito laughed and said, "I am the best." Rin laughed and said, "You two have such big heads." Obito said gravely, "Anyway, Naruto, I think it's time I tell you who your parents are." My parents? Obito let out a sigh and nodded. "Naruto, you are the son of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and Kushina Uzumaki," he said. The air left Naruto's lungs. He was completely shocked to learn that his father was his idol, the person he wanted to be. His eyes filled with tears, but he resisted them. It didn't shock him as quickly as he had anticipated, for some reason. I always had this feeling that we were connected, you know. I mean, we look almost identical," Naruto sighed. Rin stepped away from Obito and briefly embraced Naruto. Naruto grinned. As a father would. Obito taught him everything he needed to know, and Rin was like the mother he never had. "But there's more," Obito responded. "Apparently thanks to an old friend of mine doing some research, he learned that apparently Minato-sensei was the long-lost heir to the Senju heir." "Wait, you mean," Obito informed the young blonde, "Naruto, you are also the grandson of Tsunade Senju and her lover Jiraiya?" Naruto's eyes grew wide with disbelief. "Arrow. Senin is my Jiji, and Chan is actually my Chan." Kurama expressed some surprise at the news, saying, "Didn't see that coming. I know this is a lot to take in and I bet this makes you desire to go back to Konoha even more." Obito and Rin grinned as Naruto said, "It does. But my place is here with you guys. So since I'm a Senju, does that mean that you'll be able to use wood style?" "Yes it is, especially with the cells I injected into your body," Obito replied. His left arm caught Naruto's attention. Naruto continued to gaze at his arm and said, "The cells of the first, great-great-grandpa Hashi?" "Yes. With the cells of your ancestor in your body, it will no doubt react with your blood and awaken your Kekkei Genkei. With the proper training, you'll be able to become as skilled as the first. Probably even better," Obito replied with a grin. Naruto questioned, "But who's going to teach me to use wood jutsu?" Obito informed the Senju child, "I'm afraid you're on your own for that. The only other wood style user is in Konoha." "There's another Senju?" a startled Naruto inquired. Obito replied, "Not exactly, I'll explain later." Naruto had the urge to meet this other wood user. Perhaps he will be able to do so and train alongside him or her when he eventually gets back to Konoha. "Naruto, we think it's time for you to learn Minato-sensei's other jutsu," Rin replied. Naruto arched an eyebrow. "His other jutsu?" Obito gave a small laugh. With obvious amusement, he remarked, "Man, you really didn't pay attention in class, did you?" With a flush of shame, Naruto shook his head. "Well you see, other than the Rasengan, Minato-sensei created an advanced version of the second Hokage's just you called, the Hiraishin." Then the name came to him. He's heard of it before. His father's utility jutsu was the Hiraishin. Through the use of his renowned pronged kunai or a personally placed seal, Minato was able to instantly teleport to any location where a seal for the technique was. While he was still alive, Minato-sensei somehow locked the Hiraishin into the Namikaze, or should I say Senju bloodline. So now, you're the only living person who can use it. Naruto smiled. "You're in luck. I still happen to have one of his kunai lying around. I want you to copy the seal down over and over again until you can memorize it, and then I'll teach you how to place it using only your palm. Then, you'll learn how to awaken the jutsu within you. It's not something I can teach. Naruto gave a hearty nod. Naruto's stomach rumbled abruptly. Naruto blushed as Rin giggled and said, "Looks like all that training was hungry work, huh Naruto-kun? Come on, I'll make you some lunch." Naruto nodded and grinned as he followed Rin and Obito home. I wonder how Sakura-chan is doing. I'm hoping she's at least content. Kurama remarked, I don't think she is. Why is that? Puzzled as to why the fox disagrees, Naruto asked. Remember what she said to you back at the volcano? She said that she couldn't live her life without you. Kurama reminded his guest. Initially wearing a frown, Naruto's expression changed to one of confidence. Sakura-chan is an extremely powerful kunoichi. Despite the fact that she is not useless, she never paid attention to those who said so. I just know she's okay. I have faith in her. Believe it. At his Jinchuriki's words, Kurama grinned. Kurama thought, you really have too much faith in her. I hope she's content. The same is true of Kakashi-sensei and Sasuke. Guys, don't worry. I'll be home shortly. Naruto's death had been a year ago. He was now a deadly taijutsu practitioner. He had mastered a variety of taijutsu techniques, but one of his favorites was what he called his pressure point style, which focused on striking the opponent's weak points and pressure points. In a way, it was a more brutal and physical variation of the Hyuga's taijutsu. It was skilled at pretending to hit and taking advantage of opportunities to deliver a powerful blow that would render the adversary inoperable. It was entirely his own, enhanced by his innate ruthlessness and haphazard attack style. After working tirelessly to perfect the Rasengan, Naruto was now able to use it without the aid of a clone, saving his chakra. He was also incorporating his own wind element into the jutsu. After some trial and error, he discovered that the Kage Bushin could be used to practice a variety of skills, including ninjutsu and genjutsu. He was creating a full Rasengan using a recently discovered training technique. He was skilled in Hiraishin no Jutsu as well. He was his father's real legacy, the second coming of the Yellow Flash. The jutsu was easily unlocked by Naruto. He needed to work on his timing, but he was nearly as lethal as his father had once been. His poor chakra control caused long-range teleportation to severely deplete his chakra. Although it was a helpful tool, Naruto only used it when he had to. Before it could be used, he had to refine it. Even though the Akatsuki were now his family, Naruto still yearned for home. They genuinely cared about his welfare, which is why they didn't mock, yell at, or strike him. He was like a brother to Nagato. Nagato, who himself knew very little about the Uzumaki clan, taught Naruto everything he could. Naruto discovered that the clan was from the Whirlpool Nation. They had long lifespans and large chakra reserves. Since both his father and great-grandfather were married to Uzumaki women, he also discovered that they were masters of Fuinjutsu, which would account for their knowledge of seals. Looking back, he realized that it was a pretty significant coincidence that two senjus from the same family tree would meet up with two Uzumaki beauties. In any case, the Uzumaki clan's strong prowess ultimately led to their extinction and the destruction of their nation during a major conflict, as well as their close connection to Konoha. The Konoha shinobi uniforms now featured their emblem as a symbol of friendship and goodwill. He became close friends with Kona and Yahiko, who were once teammates, as a result of his relationship with Nagato. He thought Yahiko was amiable and easy to get along with. He served as an inspiration to Naruto, who would lead Konoha in the same manner as Yahiko led the Akatsuki when he became Hokage. To him, Konan was like a big sister. Despite their playful taunting and hitting, they remained close. He did harbor some feelings for her as well. It's difficult. Naruto grew closer to Rin and Obito, whom he was starting to regard as pseudo-parents. He especially liked Obito. They had discussed their genin past and discovered that they shared a lot of characteristics, including their unfulfilled passions for their female teammates. He hardly ever saw the others, and when he did, it was only briefly. The Akatsuki were busy during Naruto's training year. Kakuzu and Hidan had been working non-stop to raise money for the group, and now they were well-fed and equipped. Along with Itachi and Kisame, Deidara and Sasori, who had a hate-love relationship, were recruiting new members. With Naruto's inclusion, the group's inner circle was now full, and they were looking for more fighters, particularly Jinchuriki and shinobi with bloodline limits. Obito informed Naruto that they were in negotiations with the Hachibi vessel and that the blonde was excited to meet another demon container. Over the course of the year, Naruto had become much more composed and analytical. The blonde knew when to be serious, even though he still had a bold and exuberant personality. Right now, the 14-year-old was sitting outside with his back to a tree and his cloak spread out like a blanket. He was dressed in black pants, boots, and a sleeveless black shirt with a high collar that was zipped up slightly below his collarbone. Consider Cloud's attire from Final Fantasy VII. Advent Children, excluding the black fabric that covers his left arm and leg. Obito was standing in front of Naruto when he looked up, saying, "Getting comfy, I see." Naruto turned to face his mentor and surrogate father and said, "Oh, hey Obito. What's up?" Obito said, "Naruto, we have your first mission. Come with me, I'll get you briefed and set up." Obito said as Naruto instantly sat up, put on his cloak, and got to his feet with a resolute expression. Naruto was guided by Obito into the weapons and briefing room of the base. Obito began searching the stock of weapons. "It's your first assassination mission, I believe you are prepared. Word is, the daimyo of the Land of Waves are beginning to reinstate Gadu's ideals into the country." Naruto tightened his fists when he heard it's slowly becoming isolated. The bridge, which you were named after in honor of your efforts, is now in his control. The people are starving. There's another candidate for the position, but the present leader needs to be eliminated, said Obito. Naruto stiffened. "Now, let's return to the Land of Waves. I kind of missed that location. It was a pleasant nation. How are things going for Tazuna and Inari?" Naruto blushed at the people's generosity and felt proud when he heard the Akatsuki mention the bridge's name. Naruto was ready to finish this task. Naruto had killed a couple of bandits who had attacked a family traveling along the main road while he was on a run in the forest, so he no longer felt bad about taking a life. He was canned to the throat for his first kill. He regretted it, but it didn't consume him. Naruto believed that he would not feel guilty about taking another man's life as long as they weren't innocent and, in his opinion, deserved to die. Then Obito extracted 2 straps from his wrists. They were equipped with odd poles. Naruto took them from him and put them around his wrists. Naruto looked up at Obito and said, what are these?" "Your new weapons. Flick your wrists out," he replied. When Naruto did so, a long, razor-sharp blade protruded from each strap. Naruto saw that there was a button on the straps that fit nicely in his hands. The blades withdrew as he applied pressure. Naruto smiled. "Cool," he exclaimed as he kept pulling the blade back and forth. He found them fascinating. They appeared to be extremely sharp and were literally undetectable. These are hidden blades that can pierce nearly anything and are very easy to hide. In assassination missions, those will be your primary weapons of choice. They won't hold up well in direct combat, so if things get heated, pull them off and use your standard fighting techniques. "Is it possible for me to obtain a katana as well?" With hope in his eyes, Naruto inquired. "What's up with blades and you lately?" With a little laugh, Obito inquired. "I'm not sure." Naruto scratched the back of his head and remarked, "I just got real into kenjutsu is all." Obito simply laughed at Naruto's growing interest in kenjutsu. Kids ask for candy, he asks for blades. Obito thought to himself as he rummaged through the chest once more and produced a trench knife. "Here," Obito said, tossing the knife to Naruto, who caught it and smiled. "Thanks Obito." Naruto thanked his mentor, asking what kind of resistance he would face. "Nothing significant. As you are well aware, the wave is devoid of shinobi. Thus, a few thugs, possibly some samurai, and, if you're unlucky, a merc.nin are likely to be involved," the Uchiha remarked. Naruto grinned impatiently and said, "Well then, I hope that I'll be the most unluckiest boy in the world." Obito shook his head but continued to smile. "You're entering as a hired mercenary, we've already set it up. We're sending in 2 members who are highly proficient in both combat and assassination, so you will have some backup. Since he hired you, only the daimyo candidate is aware of your true purpose there. And I'm going to ask you this. Hide your identity throughout this mission and all subsequent ones. It's critical that your existence doesn't spread. I'll be teaching you a sophisticated transformation technique for long-term engagements when you get back. Furthermore, the Hachibi ship has consented to become a member of our group. He has consented to train you in the art of controlling his tailed beast. Did you understand?" "Yes, sir." With a playful salute, Naruto said, and Obito smiled and tousled his hair. "Your partners will be waiting outside. They may be a pair of familiar faces." Naruto was heading outside after preparing his hidden blades and gathering supplies and weapons when he had the thought, "Hey, Kurama." "What is it, Kit?" the 9-tailed Biju King asked, opening his crimson-red slit eyes. "Well, it has been on my mind that while everyone knows you as the Kyuubi, only I and a few Akatsuki members are aware of your true name." "And?" Naruto inquired inquisitively. "Well, if you have a real name, Then what are the other Biju's real names? With a sigh, Kurama said, I'll tell you later, Kit. Why? Naruto inquired, curious about the names of Kurama's siblings. Because their names are pretty damn hard to remember, and unless you have a pen and some paper, I highly doubt that you'll be able to remember them in just one go. Kurama clarified. The demon fox smiled as Naruto said, oh, okay. Could I at least hear what Hachibi's name is? Gyuki, was Kurama's response. Naruto remarked, Gyuki, huh? That's a nice name. Not as good as Kurama though. Kurama remarked, damn straight. The two had grown close over the course of the year, and although he can still be a very annoying baka at times, Kurama actually enjoyed Naruto's company. Naruto thought of Kurama as his friend, possibly his best friend. The two laughed. When Naruto went outside, he was met by a tall shinobi and a very feminine-looking one, both of whom were dressed in Akatsuki cloaks. The tall shinobi had a big sword on his back and bandages over his face, while the other appeared to be a very attractive young woman who was a few inches taller than Naruto. She also had dark brown eyes and long black hair that was gathered in a white bun holder, with two loose locks of hair falling to frame her face. Zabuza, H. Haku. Naruto uttered those words. With a smile concealed behind his bandages, Zabuza remarked, well look who it is, the pipsqueak Gaki from Konoha. Haku smiled and said, Naruto-kun, it's good to see you again. His first enemy shinobi, who gave him the will to defend those he held dear and who perished in wave, were standing in front of Naruto, as alive as the sun shining in the sky, and he just stood there dumbfounded. What happened to you, geez kid? Zabuza inquired, observing Naruto's terrified left side. What took place with me? Guys, what happened to you? How are you doing? I saw you two die back at wave. Naruto said, clearly perplexed. Zabuza responded casually, one of the members of the organization brought us back to life. Who? Naruto inquired. I believe it was the one with the exotic purple eyes, Haku responded. You mean Nagato, I see. Yes, I now realize that Nagato can resurrect the dead. He did so with Rin, but it truly wears him out, Naruto remarked coolly. Zabuza and Haku observed that Naruto's response was very different from what they had anticipated. They had assumed that he would be shouting or acting in an obnoxious or foolish manner. As Zabuza closely examined the young blonde, he thought, the brat's different, what did they do to him? He seems more focused and mature. Is this really Naruto-kun? Haku asked, blushing slightly as he looked at the boy. So, should we start? After Zabuza and Haku nodded and pulled their hoods over their heads as well, the three of them leapt into the trees. Naruto said this while pulling a hood over his head. What have they been teaching you, child? Zabuza inquired. Well, I'm now their killer. As they made their way to the land of waves, which was roughly a day's drive away, Naruto said gravely, I specialize in stealth and infiltration. This is my first mission. The Akatsuki headquarters was located deep within the land of fire's forests, far off the usual route. The Akatsuki were unknown to the shinobi world, and Naruto realized that this would be the group's first public mission. Hidan and Kakuzu had carried out a few high-profile assassinations, but none of them were particularly significant, and they never left a trace. A killer? Does that mean that you've already, inquired Haku. Killed? Yes, I did, but it was only a small group of bandits, and anyway, they deserved it, Naruto remarked angrily. With some sympathy for the young blonde, Haku reflected, Naruto-kun, I really wished you wouldn't have to go down the path of death, like Zabuza, Sama and I. After 8 hours of running, the three of them set up camp and sat around a small fire they had built in a cave to cook some fish they had caught along the way. Naruto pulled down his hood, and Haku couldn't help but stare at the scarred side of his body. Zabuza, feeling a little curious, asked the question. How did you end up looking like a freak show, kid? Zabuza. Sama. Haku shouted his name out. What? I'm just interested. Naruto sighed. I had a feeling you were going to ask. My team and I were given a mission about a year ago to find survivors of a village that were last seen in a mountain. There was only one. After Sakura clothed Akiko, since she was naked, the mountain started to erupt. She seemed to have trusted me, considering I released her, saving her from the possibility of getting raped by her captors. Naruto noticed that Haku flinched at hearing the rape part, which surprised him as an experienced shinobi. It turned out to be a volcano. I was able to assist in getting us out of there after some quick thinking. Since we got separated, Sasuke, Sakura, Akiko, and I were racing through a tunnel to meet Kakashi-sensei. The entire damn place was collapsing, and we arrived at a cavern that was erupting with plumes of lava and fire everywhere. We began running to reach Kakashi-sensei on the other side, but I was unfortunate enough to be burned by a plume of fire. Naruto displayed the burn scars on his scarred left arm. I could hardly see anything or keep my mind clear, but I was able to see a huge boulder fall to the ground, which was going to crush Sasuke, Sakura, and Akiko. I shoved them aside with what little strength I had left. Haku made the obvious statement, and that's how the left side of your body was crushed. Yeah, after saying my final words, they managed to escape the volcano, although some had to be forced out. Naruto was thinking about Sakura. While I was waiting for my demise, I made peace with my inner demon, and then that's when Obito saved me and brought me into the Akatsuki. Naruto concluded his narrative. What do you mean by inner demon, kid? I don't mean to be a bad storyteller, Zabuza inquired. I'm the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, Zabuza, I guess we're similar. The eyes of Zabuza and Haku widened as they felt a newfound respect for the boy. We're both demons, and we both want to change our respective villages. Jinchurikis were notoriously mistreated, and their lives were living hell. Actually, I am unable to go back to my village because of this. This man lives in the village, you see. He is a sick, insane old fart. He would seize the opportunity to enlist me in his ranks if I were to return without my official status as a shinobi of Konoha and without my status as an alive person. Naruto concluded, he has a special Anbu division, and I would be treated as a slave. A mere weapon and breeding factory. Haku had his hand over his mouth, and Zabuza was staring. However, Zabuza said, holy shit. The boy's got it rough, how could he even smile? What do you mean by breeding factory, Naruto-kun? Haku inquired. It turns out that I am the Senju clan's heir because my father, the fourth Hokage, was the son of Chan Tsunade. Naruto clarified, that old bastard Danzo would get a bunch of women to rape me if he heard about it. That way, they could make more Senju for his own little private army. Haku gave Zabuza a slap on the arm for saying, the women going down on you doesn't sound bad. Dully, Naruto remarked, I suspected you were a pervert, Zabuza. Zabuza casually remarked, we're all perverts kid, I'm just not afraid to show. Still a little annoyed with Zabuza, Haku remarked, the fish are done. Naruto turned to see a small fox kid the size of Akamaru with a black stripe on its back stealing one of their spare fish while they were eating. Looks like we got a little thief, Naruto said, drawing Haku and Zabuza's attention. The small fox kid stood in front of the fish and snarled at Naruto. Naruto couldn't help but laugh at the adorable action, and when he saw that the fox kid's front right leg was bleeding and injured, he said, oh man, poor little guy. Don't worry little guy, I'm going to help you. Naruto petted the fox kid's head and said, Kurama, do you think you can help me heal this little guy? The fox kid bit his hand, causing it to bleed a little, but Naruto ignored the pain. For an injured young kitling? Yes, Kurama replied, directing chakra into Naruto's hand, which was holding the injured leg of the fox kid, and beginning to mend it. When the wound was completely healed, the fox kid released Naruto's hand and began licking it, causing the young Jinchuriki to giggle at the tickling sensation. The young fox kid began to feel a warm and pleasant sensation on his injured leg as he also felt it heal. The kid looked at his leg and saw red-orange chakra covering it, healing him. You could have simply asked for some fish. Naruto grinned and asked if anyone would like to join them. I'm sure it would be way nicer eating by a fire than the cold, Ibeo, Naruto said. The young fox kid was still a little wary, but something told him that he could trust the strange blonde boy. Taking the fish in its mouth, the young kid walked over to the fire and started eating it. Okay, Naruto-kun, who is your friend? Haku inquired. He is merely a ravenous fox kid. Naruto turned to the small fox kid and said, what's your name anyway? I didn't get his name though. The kid was asked by Naruto. He didn't genuinely ask an animal for its name, did he? Zabuza spoke to Haku in a whisper. Naruto began to get a yip from the fox kid. Feeling guilty about what he had heard, Naruto remarked, oh, so you don't have a name. The fox kid had apparently just escaped from some bandits, who attacked him, which is why he had a wound on his leg a short time ago. His parents, who were probably dead by now, dealt with them while he fled to safety. How about I give you a name then? The fox shrugged its shoulders in response to Naruto's question. All right, let's see. Well, I see now, I'll call you Mamoru, Naruto said, snapping his fingers. Guard. Who would the kid defend if he were a runt? The fox kid looked down with some shame as Zabuza spoke, and Haku slapped Zabuza on the arm for upsetting the small fox. I can see it in his eyes, Naruto remarked, and trust me, it's the perfect name for him. The fox kid grinned and leapt onto Naruto, licking his whisker. Streaked cheeks. He's a protector, okay? Naruto grinned broadly and said, heh heh, cut it out that tickles, tt ibeo. Haku chuckled a little at the sight, but Zabuza simply rolled his eyes and resumed eating his fish. Kurama saw everything inside Naruto's head and grinned, saying, nice going, kid. Something told the Biju King that Naruto and Mamoru were destined to meet, and Kurama was pleased that Naruto was showing kindness to the young fox. In fact, the fox kid reminded Kurama a little bit of Naruto when he was younger. Naruto-kun, I suppose you're stuck with him. Mamoru began to yip something to Naruto, and Haku smiled sweetly. What? I'm not Haku's girlfriend, besides, Haku's a boy. Naruto exclaimed, his face flushed, and Haku was no exception. After giving Naruto a, are you serious? Look, Mamoru leapt off the blonde and headed toward Haku. After jumping onto Haku and glancing up at him, Mamoru put both of his paws on Haku's chest, and that's when Naruto saw two bumps on Haku's chest, and his jaw dropped to the ground. Haku is a girl? Naruto's voice reverberated throughout the cave as he yelled. When Naruto and Zabuza began packing up the following morning, Mamoru remained by Naruto's side because he was still a little uncomfortable around Zabuza. Haku. Where are you, Zabuza? Naruto inquired. Haku went back to that lake so she could clean herself up, said Zabuza. Oh okay. Naruto said, feeling a little alarmed as he felt killer intent coming directly at him from Zabuza. Don't even consider approaching her to take a quick look. With an equally menacing glare, Zabuza said, unless you want to become chopped beef. I won't. With his hands raised in terror, Naruto spoke quickly. What will you do, Naruto-kun? Haku walked over to them and asked. Well, I'm not going to touch Zabuza's sword. Even though it looks really cool, Naruto said, and Mamoru simply rolled his eyes at the scene. Haku, who had heard the entire conversation, simply laughed at Naruto's little white lie. Zabuza and Haku pulled their hoods over their heads and said, well, we're all set. After realizing that he probably wouldn't be able to keep up with them, Naruto bent down to speak to Mamoru, saying, listen Mamoru, we're going to be traveling fast, so I think it would be best if you hopped onto my head. Mamoru leapt onto Naruto's head and yipped in agreement. As the four, continued their journey to the land of waves, Naruto got up and pulled his hood over his head, concealing Mamoru's face and the fox kit. Let's move, Naruto said. They soon reached the bridge, which was now defended by samurai and could not be crossed without authorization. Naruto's entrance to the land from a year prior was permanently barred. The three headed for the gate. Fortunately, Naruto had reached his growth spurt because of his training and healthy diet, which prevented Zabuza from calling him a little shrimp. They were approached by a rough-looking man who said, stated your names and business here. They had to use an alias because Zabuza had hidden his sword the previous evening to avoid suspicion. And, Zabuza said, gesturing to Haku, my name is Tetsuo, and my partners are Kaya. The young assassin gave himself the name, Hashi, in honor of his great-great-grandfather, even though he knew that everyone would assume that he had thought of it from the side of the bridge because the word, Hashi, means bridge. Hashi. And how did you get that name? The stern man asked. How is that any of yours? In my opinion, Naruto uttered those words. I'm just saying it sounds pretty ridiculous to name a child after. The aggressive man instantly fell silent when he sensed a surge of Hashi's murderous intent. Are you disparaging my relatives? Just for calling me Hashi? Hashi was frightening the living daylights out of the rugged man? No, I wasn't. I was simply carrying out my duties as security, you get it, don't you? This guy was sweating, and Hashi's ki really made the man nearly have a heart attack. Hashi just stood silent for a moment, frightening the gruff man even more, thinking that he was probably going to mutilate him. The man stammered in terror. Well, I'm feeling good today, so I'll overlook it. But if you say anything about my family or name again, I'll make sure it's slow, painful, and like a fish gasping for air. Hashi said, his eyes glowing red, and then all of a sudden, Mamoru bared his teeth and growled, making the rough man jump and even freak out. Mamoru's teeth and growl, combined with Hashi's red eyes, gave the rough man the impression that Hashi was a demon he shouldn't mess with. Anyway, we're mercs for hire. Your daimyo should be expecting us, Tetsuo replied. Please wait here for a moment, the tough guy said, regaining his composure, but he didn't even glance at Hashi. The tough guy returned to the gate, and after a quick chat with his colleague, who confirmed their story, he motioned for them to come forward. The gate was raised, and two were led to the daimyo's house, but Hashi decided to give the guy one last scare, turning to him and giving him a glare and a growl from Mamoru, which scared the living daylights out of him. As Hashi followed the others, Kaya turned to him. "You can be very mean, Hashi," smirked Kaya. "Oh come on, you got to admit it was amusing seeing him squirm." Hashi and Mamoru both grinned as Naruto looked around the town, which was very different from when he had been here before. The buildings had been rebuilt and were more modern, and the people appeared to be a little happier than they had been, though Naruto blamed their lack of true peace on the corrupt leader they had to deal with. Despite this, he saw a lot of people living on the streets, and judging from the markets, the food was substantially overpriced. "Are they okay?" The last time, the old man had missing nin after him. "The same ones next to me. He must be a magnet for trouble, if his attitude was anything to infer," he thought, returning to Tazuna and Inari. A mental check of the photo they were given confirms that this was the daimyo, and when they arrived a few minutes later, they saw a rather plump, greedy-looking man waiting for them, flanked by two thugs. Naruto thought, "Look at him, all plump and fat, probably from all the food he kept for himself, letting the villagers starve. I can't wait to kill him." "Greetings. Thank you for coming, all three of you," the daimyo remarked. "We've been having a real problem with the populace. Damn scum don't know what's good for them." Zabuza nodded subtly, confirming Naruto's preparation of a pronged, sealed kunai. Zabuza stated, "It's our pleasure." Naruto could not wait any longer and hurled his pronged kunai at the samurai on the daimyo's left, embedding it in his throat. Naruto materialized in front of the terrified daimyo, his hidden blade unsheathed in a golden flash. The big man twitched a few times before he fell to the ground, dead, as the blade impaled the bottom of his jaw with invisible speed, piercing through the roof of his mouth and stabbing into his brain. Zabuza and Haku had easily dispatched all the guards, but when a samurai suddenly charged at Naruto with his blade ready to cut him, Mamoru leapt out of his hiding place and bit the man's neck, causing it to bleed as the samurai fell and screamed in pain as Mamoru continued to gnaw at it. Naruto simply tore out his pronged kunai from the deceased samurai and stabbed the living one in the brains, leaving him and the others dead. As he picked up the young fox kid and began petting him, Naruto remarked, "Nice work, Mamoru, you really helped. Told you he was a protector." Naruto turned to face Zabuza and Haku, to which Zabuza merely grunted and Haku simply laughed. Within minutes, the crowd gathered around the two nin and burst into cheers, as if they had been waiting for something like this to happen and were ecstatic that it had. An elderly man with a small boy on his back came up to them, both of them grinning broadly, and Naruto recognized them right away. "Tazuna. Inari. Thank you so much." Tazuna cried out. "Yes, many thanks," the three nodded, and Inari also exclaimed. "I assume you're the contender?" Naruto inquired. "Take your position, and make sure this country knows peace, Tazuna-san," Naruto said, smiling on the inside but maintaining a chilly, uninterested expression as the old man nodded and Inari smiled. Before the four vanished into a whirlwind of leaves, Naruto remarked, "And if anyone asks how this came to be, just say that a new dawn is coming into the world." With a gentle smile, Tazuna said, "Thank you, Akatsuki." Once again, the land of waves was free, and by the same individual. The four made their way back to the base, where they opened the doors to applause from their allies. Naruto pulled off his hood and grinned, as did Zabuza and Haku. Obito laughed and gave Naruto a pat on the back. The scarred Uchiha remarked, "I knew you could do it, kid," before noticing Mamoru. "And who's this little guy?" "Oh, I see. I found this Mamoru, or rather, he found us, and he assisted with the mission. He saved my butt, for the most part." Naruto presented the young fox kid. "All right, Mamoru, nice to meet you." With a yip of agreement from the fox kid and an irritated expression from Naruto, Obito said, "Thanks for saving this kid. He's lost without someone watching him." "Oh, don't look so down, Naruto. I'm just kidding. Sort of." "That's not the case, at least not entirely. I simply wanted to visit the ruins of Uzushiogakure and look for scrolls on ceiling and anything else related to the Uzumaki clan and their work because we were in the land of waves. However, I had to complete the mission," Naruto remarked solemnly. "Didn't you tell him?" Yahiko questioned Obito. "Tell me what?" Naruto inquired with renewed interest. Obito glared at Yahiko and said, "I was going to tell him when he was older." "What sensei are you?" Naruto began to grow impatient and asked. "The truth is that we had some agents go to the remains of Uzushiogakure to gather scrolls and other important artifacts," Obito said with a sigh. "We decided to gather them and protect them from criminals and dishonest warlords because the Uzumaki clan was feared for their methods and everyone wanted to obtain them." "They're here, then?" With great excitement, Naruto asked. Obito said to the young Uzumaki, "Yes, but I want you to wait for a while before reading them." Sensei, whatever you say. With a toothy grin, Naruto stated, I'm fine with it as long as I get to read and study them soon in my life. Obito ruffled Naruto's head once more and said, good boy. As a dark-skinned man with sunglasses and a bandana appeared next to him, Yahiko said, anyway Naruto, we'd like you to meet someone. Yahiko pointed to the man and said, this is Killer B, the Hachibi Jinchuriki. Hey, nice to meet you. I am the vessel of the mighty Hachibi, the one and only Killer B. Naruto went pale after rapping, the man said. Naruto thought, this guy reminds me of super bushy brows guy, sensei. Octo. Pops, it's good to meet you. Naruto smiled and said, I've heard a lot about you and Gyuki. B's face was expressionless. Gyuki? So Hachibi's name is that? He didn't tell you. Naruto uttered those words. In Naruto's mind, Kurama stated, he probably never did so he wouldn't use his name in his stupid rhymes. Naruto mentally responded to the nine-tailed beast, I guess that makes sense, but I would call them stupid. You're heading out on a training trip with B, Naruto. The nine-tails will assist you in harnessing the power of your Biju because you and he get along well, Obito stated. Naruto gave a nod. When? Now. Bring your belongings. Be ready for it to take anywhere from a week to a year. When you return, we'll see you. Yahiko hinted at something significant for the Akatsuki, saying, by then, our plans should be ready to be put into action. All right, then. Can I bring Mamoru with me? Naruto inquired. That's the key to the seal on your stomach. I had Nagato make it, Yahiko said, passing Naruto a large scroll. The more the merrier. Good luck, Naruto said, placing Mamoru on his head, accepting the key, nodding, and heading to his quarters. Following his packing and farewells, the two Jinchuriki went to a harbor and boarded a small boat to reach an island that was oddly also a turtle. After meeting Motoi, who Killer B claimed could be trusted with even the most significant secrets, Naruto was free to explore the island and take in the sights without his hood. Obito had given him a long scroll before he left that described the most intricate transformation he had ever witnessed. Naruto had a few Kage Bushins copy the scroll and practice the technique while he followed B to a waterfall. All right, child. Just concentrate on your surroundings while you sit there. Get your mind straight. At that point, you will have to face who you really are, Motoi stated. Following his instructions, Naruto sat in front of the waterfall and closed his eyes. Shortly after, he noticed a strange fog surrounding the area and was unable to sense anyone nearby. He realized that he was now in his own head. When he opened his eyes, he saw a perfect replica of himself emerge from the waterfall, his irises red and his eyes black. Well, look who it is, he said, laughing as his dark self did. Take a look at yourself. You are pitiful. Do you believe that anyone in the Akatsuki, much less Konoha, is interested in you? Most likely, they're relieved that we're dead. Naruto glared at his copy and said, geez, stop sounding so emo. The old man didn't tell them who I really was, and the villagers were so blinded by their hatred for Kurama. The darker side of Naruto simply laughed. Fear breeds paranoia, which breeds hate. Naruto spat. Sasuke. Teme and Sakura. Chan didn't want anything to do with you, Naruto. Speaking of which, I bet they're fucking now, wouldn't you agree? Oh please. They just hated us for being us. Naruto yelled, shut up, as he prepared a Rasengan. His darker self smiled and followed suit. Rasengan versus Rasengan was the outcome of Naruto's charge. The two Narutos leapt backwards as they exploded upon contact. Dark Naruto began to laugh ominously. Look at that, you really think peace is obtainable? Bullshit. You're a fool for thinking otherwise. Everyone in this rotting world will always be filled with hate and rage that they will be blind to everything else. Look what I just did to you. Love breeds hate. Hate breeds conflict. An unending circle of life filled with everlasting darkness and damnation. One word about your precious, Sakura. Chan, and you were set off. Dark Naruto clarified. The real Naruto merely let out a sigh. I'm the true Naruto, your inner feelings and thoughts, who you really are. You're right. But how do you think I still like Sakura? Chan? Naruto responded. His darker self froze. Because I know, deep down, she was kind, considerate and trustworthy. She only did those things because I was an idiot. Same with the villagers. I'm the vessel of the Kyuubi. Civilians wouldn't know the difference between the Biju and the Jinchuriki. With wild hand gestures, the dark Naruto screamed, shut the fuck up. You don't know anything. They scorned us. Sakura. Teme ignored us for the Uchiha. You can't forgive them for that. As his darker self lunged at him, Naruto grinned and embraced him. But I already have forgiven them. And so have you," said Naruto. His darker self's eyes widened, turned blue, and began to well up with tears. "Remember what Sakura-chan said back when we were being crushed by that boulder? She said that she didn't want to leave our side again. That was enough to know she truly did care for us." Dark Naruto muttered before he vanished. "I wonder though, do we forgive them because of her?" Then, now completely insane, Naruto opened his eyes. He smiled as he turned to face B and Motoi. Their eyes grew wide. Motoi said, "Did you already do it?" Naruto gave a nod. "Nice kid, even B didn't get it on his first try," he replied. The Hachibi ship smiled and extended his fist. B said, "Hit me up, boss." With a sly smile, Naruto gave B a fist bump. Asking, "So what now, Octo?" "Pops?" Naruto lifted Mamoru and placed him on his head. B led the three through the waterfall into a huge cavern beneath the mountains, saying, "Now, we go behind the waterfall." When the water hit Mamoru, soaking him and drying out Naruto's head, he snarled. Naruto laughed nervously and scratched the back of his head before saying, "Sorry, Mamoru." As they proceeded, they noticed headless statue carvings along the walkway, which led to a sizable wall covered in an enormous array of designs. As they approached a lion's head, Motoi pointed to the statues and said, "Put your head in there and pull the lever. If you really got rid of all the hatred within you, then you will live. If not, you will end up like them." Naruto nodded after swallowing. Naruto placed Mamoru on the ground and then poked his head into the lion's mouth. The others heard Naruto scream as they waited for him to pull the lever. Naruto was headless when Motoi grabbed him and pulled him out. With a horrified expression, Motoi thought, "The poor kid. How could this have happened?" Naruto yelled, "Just kidding," as he lowered his shirt to reveal his head. Motoi simply went white and had a blank expression. Naruto remarked, "It's a habit. I couldn't help myself. I did the same thing too. Out of habit. Those stone statues are just broken. It's just some wit." B was rapping. With a horrified, angry expression, Motoi screamed, "I thought you kept telling me that this was a sacred place? Fools, ya fools." Then, as if they were floating on nothing, a doorway abruptly opened, and the four entered an odd, completely white room. Motoi said, "All right kid, sit down, and close your eyes. You will appear in front of your Baiju. There you will have to tame it." However, Naruto gave Motoi a deadly glare. Naruto swore, "I'll tear your tongue out of your mouth if you ever call Kurama it." B turned to a perspiring Motoi and said, "Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Naruto and his Biju already made peace." Motoi bowed apologetically to Naruto and said, "Is that so? My apologies." Naruto remarked, "Apologize to Kurama, not to me." Kurama. B was asked by Motoi. Kyuubi's real name. Turns out all the Biju have a name. Check it out. B assumed his rapping stance and said, "Yo, me, the rappin' killer B and the Hachibi Gyuki, taking down fools. 1, 2, 3. Our power all blazing out with a flare. Fools. Ya fools beware." The others were staring at him. Naruto grinned and said, "That was cool, but Motoi and Mamoru gave him a, are you serious? Look, I gotta come up with a rap for me and Kurama." The Biju King shouted, "Don't you even dare," inside Naruto's head. Naruto said aloud, "Okay, fine, I won't." Motoi remarked, "I'm guessing the Kyuubi doesn't agree." Naruto asked, "Isn't it obvious? So if you and the Kyuubi are already in sync, then why are you here?" Motoi inquired. With great resolve, Naruto declared, "I want to free Kurama from the seal that my two-chan placed on him. I want to be full-fledged partners." Motoi questioned, "But what if he doesn't agree? Then at least he'll be free. I don't like the fact that he's behind a cage, like a prisoner," Naruto replied. At this, Motoi, B, and Mamoru grinned and thought, they're going to go far. B smirked and said, "Okay, it's time to meet up with the Kyuubi, fools, ya fools." Mamoru leapt on top of Naruto's head before he could close his eyes. With his eyes closed, Naruto went into his mindscape. When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw that he was in front of Kurama's cage in his mindscape. Kurama saw Naruto and another person when he opened his red, slitted eyes. Kurama smiled and said, "I see you brought the little kitling as well, Naruto." Raising an eyebrow, Naruto glanced down at Mamoru, who was admiring the enormous nine-tailed fox king. Confused, Naruto questioned, "Mamoru, how'd he get here?" He felt something rubbing against his paw, and Kurama said, "It seems that your chakra became linked when he made contact with you, right before you entered your mindscape." He noticed it was Mamoru with him when he looked down. Kurama's face was flushed and his eyes were wide. At the sight, Naruto erupted in laughter. Naruto exclaimed, laughing aloud, "Oh man, ha ha ha, that's so cute, ha 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 ha, he imprinted on you." After yelling, "SS shut up," Kurama grabbed Mamoru and put him back on Naruto's head. "Kurama." Naruto began drawing the fox's attention. Surprising the Biju King, he said, "Before I open the seal, I want you to know that one of my goals, besides attaining world peace and becoming Hokage, is getting rid of all that hatred inside of you." "Why?" inquired Kurama inquisitively. "Because we're friends. And friends help each other in any way, no matter what the cost. I promise I'll get rid of all of it, Kurama. And I never break, especially not to a friend. Because that's my ninja way." Naruto grinned and pounded his chest. Kurama was blown away. He was surprised to see that his ship genuinely cared about him and thought of him as a friend. For him, friendship was an alien concept. Kurama looked for any negative feelings in the young blonde, but when he didn't sense any, he froze. "Where is all that hatred you had harbored over the years, Kit? All the hatred and distaste that was breed by those maggots in the village that scorned us, belittled us and hurt us?" Naruto grinned and Mamoru yipped in agreement, saying, "I am my true self, Kurama. Remember when I said we were the same? This just proves that it's not too late for you. I believe in you, Kurama." Kurama was at a loss for words because, aside from his creator, no one had ever believed in him. Naruto said, "Now for your freedom." He then unzipped his high-collar shirt and cloak. The key showed up on his right arm, and the seal showed up on his toned abs. Kurama remarked, "Naruto, you don't have to free me." Naruto put his hand on his stomach and said, "You're right. I don't have to." He then turned his hand and said, "I want to." The powerful Biju had been set free when the barred gates opened and the seal on Kurama's cage opened. Kurama grinned as he approached Naruto and Mamoru. Kurama said, "Thank you, Naruto." Naruto grinned and said, "That's what friends are for." After giving Naruto a simple smile, Kurama looked shocked and said, "You've got to be kidding me," his expression still showing. Naruto asked, "What's wrong, Kurama?" A male voice behind Naruto said, "Kurama, huh? I had a feeling that giant furball had a name." Naruto's shoulders were suddenly seized by two hands. A female voice had said, "We'll take hit from here, Kyuubi, Databane." Abruptly, both Mamoru and Naruto were engulfed in dazzling light. Naruto leapt away from the hands as the light faded and realized he was in a white room, identical to the one he had entered following his little headless trick. Naruto heard two voices say his name, Naruto. Naruto turned slowly in the direction of the voices. He turned to face the source and saw a tall man with blonde hair and cerulean eyes, similar to his own, but with long bangs hanging down the sides of his face. Beside the man was a stunning woman with long, gorgeous red hair and violet eyes. Naruto was stunned because he recognized the man in front of him. "Dad?" Naruto asked, and the man smiled. "Mom?" he asked, turning to face the woman, who was grinning back at him. Naruto's eyes became teary and his lips began to tremble. The woman began to say, "It's good to see you again, Nar," but was cut off when she and the man were thrown into an embrace. With tears in his eyes, Naruto remarked, "I've always wanted to meet you guys, TT Ibeo." Minato laughed as Kushina smiled and said, "TT Ibeo, you really are my son. I've got so many questions to ask you, but you're not staying for long, are you?" Naruto said, frowning as he moved away from them. Minato and Kushina both had frowns on their faces as they said, "I'm afraid so." The two blushed as Naruto said, "Then, I really want to know, how did you guys fall in love?" "Its. A bit embarrassing, TT Ibane," Kushina blushed. Minato laughed and said, "Embarrassing? I thought it was really cute." Kushina gave her husband a fierce look. She screamed, "B. Baka," and punched Minato in the head. Naruto's eyes widened as he suddenly saw a picture of Sakura and himself. Then Naruto grinned and began to cry. His parents gave him a worried look. Kushina exclaimed, "N. Naruto, are you okay?" as she worried about her child. Naruto's parents were perplexed when he burst out laughing. "What's so funny, TT Ibane?" Naruto continued to laugh a little and said, "Nothing, Mom, it's just, you remind me of Sakura. Shan when you hit Dad like that. I mean, you're just as beautiful as her too," he added, causing his mother to blush. "Oh, thank you," Kushina said with a smile. "So anyway," Naruto began. "Oh right, well you see, your father and I were both still little kids," Kushina replied. "I had just moved from Uzushiogakure and entered the academy as a new transfer student. At the time, I was placed in the same class as your father. She first thought that I was girly and undependable. Minato continued. Your mother then blurted out that she wanted to be the first female Hokage. Which isn't a good thing for someone to just say when they just transferred to a new village. It makes you seem snobby. Tt Ebane. Kushina gave a lecture. Your father then stood and said that he wanted to become Hokage and be respected by everyone. I wasn't trying to challenge your mother if that's what you're thinking right now, Minato responded quickly. Kushina remarked, it just sounded like a joke to me. What? But Dad seemed so powerful in what I read about him, said Naruto. I know, but I was still young and didn't know anything back then, so I looked down on Minato. Kushina replied, until a certain incident happened. An incident? Inquired Naruto. She smiled as she rubbed some of her hair and remarked, I used to really hate my red hair. But after the incident, I started to like it. With interest and eagerness, Naruto inquired, what happened? I have a slightly special chakra, and I was kidnapped by Kumogakure because of it, she stated. You were kidnapped? They suddenly captured me and took me away to Kumo, and I wasn't able to put up much of a fight. Kushina continued, but I knew I had to do something. In order to leave a trail behind, while I was being led away. I snipped off and dropped strands of my hair. Carefully, so the enemy wouldn't notice. Konoha immediately put together search parties, but they had a hard time finding me. We were almost to the border, and I thought I was done for, but then, Kushina then noticed that Minato was grasping her fingers entwined. She turned to face her husband, who grinned back at her. Naruto exclaimed, was that when, with excitement? Yep, your father was the one who rushed to my side and rescued me. Kushina was beaming. With a loving gaze on his wife, Minato remarked, it wasn't difficult. After all, your mother's hair is so beautiful that I could never forget it. Kushina put her head on Minato's shoulder and gave him a hug. Naruto blushed and grinned, yeah, mom's hair sure is pretty. That day, I knew your father really would be a great shinobi. I realized that he could make all my dreams come true. And that he could change me. The red hair that I had always hated had brought me the man of my dreams. My hair became my red thread of destiny. Kushina laughed. After that I grew to love my hair. And more importantly, I fell in love with Minato. After grinning, Naruto began to consider, Mom and Dad remind me so much of me and Sakura. Chan. Then, does that mean that we? Kushina called her son, Naruto, to get his attention. There are certain words that I only bestow to those who compliment my hair. Will you accept them? Naruto nodded and replied, Naruto. I love you. Wow, I feel so calm and happy, Naruto said, his eyes widening in shock. With tears of happiness in his eyes, Naruto grinned before embracing his parents and saying, I love you too. Ka-san, too. Chan, as he had always dreamed. His parents are delighted that their child also loves them, and they both smile broadly. Mom, Dad, about what happened on the day of Kurama's forced attack, Naruto said as he released his parents. To get Naruto's attention, Minato said, we know. Tell Obito that we forgive him. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that. Naruto grinned. And I'm guessing you also know about Tsunade-ba. Chan and Ero. Senin are. Minato responded, yeah, it was pretty surprising. Shocking is more like it. Your father froze when he heard Obito tell you, Kushina responded. Naruto asked his father, are you alright, Dad? With a single tear streaming down his cheek, Minato remarked, yeah, like you Naruto, I've always wanted to meet my own parents, who would have thought they have been by my side this whole time. At least you got the chance to meet them and know them, said Naruto. Minato said with a hint of sadness, something I wished for you, Naruto. What are you talking about? I finally got to meet you guys, and I know enough about the two of you. Naruto responded, you two are strong and awesome shinobi, you put others before yourselves, you never let anything demeanor your will, you truly do love each other with all your hearts, and you love me. Together, they said, with all our hearts. Kushina lamented, I just wish your sister was here. Naruto's eyes grew wide with disbelief. Naruto said in shock, I have a sister? Minato and Kushina both nodded. It turns out, I was pregnant with twins. You and your sister, Akane, said Kushina. Anxious to find his grandparents and the only other family he had left in this world, Naruto asked, what happened to her? When I used the Shiki Fujin, I split the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto stepped in and said, his name is Kurama Dad. She told her son, Naruto, don't interrupt people. As Naruto rubbed the back of his head, he said, sorry mom. Still in shock that Naruto had actually made friends with the Biju King, Minato remarked, it's okay, Naruto. You were just looking for a friend. Anyway, I split Kurama's chakra in half. You were given his yang chakra, while Akane had his yin. Naruto questioned, but what happened to her? Minato stated, I'm afraid we don't know. He turned to embrace Kushina, who was crying. With a sorrowful tone, Naruto asked, so, does that mean, she's... No. The trio looked over at Kurama. Naruto said, Kurama, how did you get here? Does it really matter? According to Naruto, I guess not. Kyuubi, what are you talking about? Kushina exclaimed, feeling a newfound sense of optimism. Even though my chakra was separated, I am still connected to it, and I still sense my chakra. It is mixed with another. The chakra of an Uzumaki. A female. And her chakra is just like yours, Kushina. Kurama concluded. So, she's alive, she's alive, TT Ibeo. Naruto began to leap with delight. Mom, Dad, I promise I'll find Akane. That's my promise of a lifetime, believe it, he said, turning to face his parents. Thank you Naruto.kun. I am so sorry that we couldn't be there for you. Kushin began to cry. Don't blame yourselves. Kurama told the two older shinobi. You tried your best to stay alive, but still through the whole thing, you protected your children at the cost of your lives. That is a lot to the kids. Isn't that right, Naruto? With his characteristic foxy smile, Naruto nodded and said, yeah. You guys died for me and Akane. You loved us so much. I'm happy that I'm your son, and wherever Akane is, I'm sure. No, I know that she's happy to be your daughter. His parents' eyes were filled with happy tears. Then they gave him a tender hug. They both said, Naruto. Minato said, thank you for making me a father. Kushina remarked, and me a mother. The two said, thank you, for being born to us. With tears streaming down his cheeks, Naruto clung to his parents and pleaded, please don't leave me. Kurama cast a worried glance at the trio. Apart from the sage who created him, Naruto was the only person who truly showed him kindness and thought of him as a friend. He thought of something. The Fox King declared, I have an idea. When the three looked up, Kurama raised his fist in the same manner as B. Minato and Kushina were a little tired, but Naruto trusted his best friend completely and followed Mamoru's instructions. Put your fists onto mine. You too as well. Minato and Kushina put their fists on Kurama's after realizing there was no malicious intent. The four were suddenly engulfed in golden flames and felt an amazing power coursing through them. Their bodies had transformed into pure, golden flames that felt incredibly warm and vibrant when they looked in the mirror. It was stunning and amazing. Naruto questioned, what happened? All three, Kurama followed by saying, sorry, I mean all four of you now have my chakra within you. Minato, Kushina, your chakra now flows within me, which means that now, you can stay within Naruto, as long as he may live. As they hugged each other like family, Naruto, Minato, and Kushina were so happy that tears were streaming from their eyes. I'm so happy, exclaimed Naruto. Then, with tears of happiness streaming from his eyes, Naruto broke away from his parents and ran to Kurama, hugging his paw and saying, thank you Kurama, this means so much to me. Naruto hugged him despite Kurama's words, you're welcome, just stop hugging. Then, appreciative of the Biju King, Minato, Kushina, and Mamoru joined him. Mamoru for making Naruto so happy, and Minato and Kushina for forcing them to live with their son going forward. Okay, you could stop now. However, they persisted, causing Kurama to sigh. B and Motoi were looking at Naruto outside his mindscape. B was grinning because, with Gyuki's assistance, he was able to see Naruto's thoughts through the mental connection he shared with the fox inside. Motoi questioned his best friend, what do you think is going on in there? B grinned and said, something unbelievable. Naruto's eyes suddenly widened and he grinned broadly as he yelled, Yada. While B continued to smile in amazement at what was going through Naruto's head, Motoi jumped a little at the sudden outburst. Looks like the kid really did change the Kyuubi, B said. Gyuki addressed his ship, saying, but it's unbelievable that he would actually go to such lengths as that. So does this that you and the Kurama are partners now? Motoi inquired. The blonde replied, yeah, but he isn't going to give me full control yet. He wants to see how far I'll go in my goal for peace, but he is going to give me a bit of his chakra from time to time. Naruto yelled, check this out. Ready Mamoru, and received a yip in return. Kurama's chakra was then summoned by Naruto and Mamoru, causing their bodies to erupt into pure, golden flames. The two felt stronger, quicker, and better overall because they could sense B and Matoi's emotions. Kurama's voice resounded in their thoughts. Alright you two listen. Be wary of this form. It casts a large chakra signature, and it will only last about 10 minutes with the amount of chakra I'm supplying you, understand? The two gave Kurama a mental nod. Mamoru appeared to be a living bolt of lightning as he suddenly began to run around the room at an amazing speed. Kurama, what kind of powers do you possess? Naruto pondered. The beast laughed inside his head. The one you can do in that mode is my most powerful, the tailed beast ball, Kurama replied. Kurama laughed in Naruto's head as he thought excitedly, I like the sound of that. To create it is much like your Rasengan, though you must balance the correct chakra ratio of 8 to 2, positive to negative. Naruto gave him a nod. Naruto said to his senpai, Octo. Pops, Kurama says I can create a tailed beast ball, any advice before I go for it? The Hachibi ship gave a nod. Yo, to assist in making it, imagine the chakra-forming arms, it helps in balancing the ratio. Naruto nodded and followed through, causing two massive claws to emerge from his back and hang in front of him. With a smile, he formed a Rasengan. A purple, red, and blue sphere began to form together instead of a swirling ball of chakra. Hey, this is actually pretty easy, TTEBA. But it exploded in Naruto's face because the ball suddenly became too unstable. Naruto grunted as he landed and yelled, yo, as he flew back. Naruto, worriedly, Minato and Kushina yelled their son's name. As he stood up, Naruto said, I'm okay, don't worry, all I feel is an aftershock, nothing to worry about. Mamoru then appeared beside him. Motoi looked shocked, and B's jaw was slack. You actually formed it, exclaimed Motoi. B enthusiastically nodded in agreement. The child was simply full of surprises. After he leapt to his feet, Naruto spent the following month honing his skills with the tailed beast ball and practicing his cooperation with Mamoru using Kurama's chakra. Outside the island, the three stood at the docks. Naruto gave Motoi a handshake. Mamoru yipped in agreement, saying, it was nice meeting and training with you Motoi. Likewise, Naruto Uzumaki. I look forward to meeting you and Mamoru again. I bid you and the Akatsuki good luck on your mission for peace. Motoi replied with a grin. He then gave B a fist bump before embracing him like a brother. He said, be safe, B.San. B smiled and nodded. Although the tailed beast ball was extremely unstable, Naruto was able to hold it for 15 seconds without it blowing up. Additionally, he had control over the explosion's power. Additionally, he and Mamoru had used Kurama's chakra to launch some fairly lethal teamwork attacks. The young fox kid was a super fox because Kurama's power was flowing through Mamoru. Naruto and Mamoru practiced using the fully understood transformation jutsu that Obito had given him. Only a powerful, direct blow to the chest could dispel it, and it drastically altered the user's appearance. Additionally, it changed the user's chakra signature, which was advantageous for both of them because their chakra reserves were growing significantly. Clad in their cloaks, the two Jinchuriki entered the boat. They sailed back to the land of fire and the Akatsuki base after Naruto put Mamoru on his head and covered him with his hood. A week later, they showed up and entered the compound. They were met with the solemn expressions of Yahiko and Obito. Obito asked, his eyes glimmering with excitement, well? How did it go? The melted portion of Naruto's face had finally healed. Don't misunderstand. He's not passing judgment. After all, the left's face resembled his own, but it was something to get used to. It was so unbelievable that they both received their crushed scars from rescuing their teammates from being crushed by a boulder. But Obito had told him the entire story, which only made the blonde respect him more. Naruto seemed to be constantly pursuing Obito's shadow. I had freed Kurama from his prison. He has entrusted Mamoru and I with some of his chakra to see what we can do with it and what we use it for. I plan to get rid of his hatred completely. I want to work together with him. If I do well with his chakra, then he and I will finally be full-fledged partners. Naruto grinned. After staring at him in shock, the two Akatsuki leaders smiled. Obito tousled his hair. Obito grinned and remarked, good work, Naruto. Naruto rhetorically questioned, was there any doubt? Not from me, Naruto. Obito gave Naruto a sincere smile in return. Although Naruto was glad to have his father inside of him, he would always cherish Obito as a second father and Rin as a second mother. B gave him the thumbs up and moved further into the base to speak with the other members while Yahiko patted him on the shoulder and Mamoru, who was still planted on his head, rubbed his head. Naruto, our plans are coming together. We, along with Nagato, are going to be training you to the bone, and sending you on mildly high-ranked missions for 9 months. At the end of those 9 months, Akatsuki is going to go public. Yahiko smiled with pride. Naruto was forced to give it back. His real home was in Akatsuki. Mamoru was chewing on a bone on the floor, while Naruto, Obito, and Rin were seated at the dining room table. Since he first joined Akatsuki, Naruto had lived with them. Initially, he didn't want to force them, but Obito and Rin persisted, and since they had saved his life, how could he ever refuse them? Happy that Naruto was back at home, Rin grinned and said, "Getting rid of all of Kurama's hatred isn't going to be easy, Naruto-kun." Naruto grinned proudly and said, "Neither is world peace, but we're going to get it, I just know it." After giving him a smile in return, the two saw that he was frowning. Rin questioned, "What's wrong, Naruto-kun?" With a hint of nervousness, Naruto said, "Well, I hope you don't get mad at me, but I left something out in the report." Obito looked serious as he asked, "What exactly is it?" Naruto told them, "After I freed Kurama, I finally met them, my real mom and dad." Rin's and Obito's eyes grew wide. "Well, don't leave us in suspense, what happened?" Rin exclaimed, eager to learn what Naruto discussed with her former sensei and his spouse. "Well, they told me how they fell in love." Rin grinned excitedly and said, "Oh, I bet it was romantic." Rin and Obito were taken aback when Naruto grinned and said, "Yeah, it was. They also told me that I have a twin sister. It turns out that Dad split Kurama's chakra and placed both halves inside of me and my sister, Akane. I think she was kidnapped after Mom and Dad had, Kurama sensed the other half of his chakra somewhere out there in the world, and it's mixed with a female Uzumaki that has chakra that's just like Mom's, which means that she's still out there, alive. And I plan to find her, no matter what. That's my promise of a lifetime to my parents, and I plan to keep it, because that's my Nindo. Believe it," proudly exclaimed Naruto. Rin and Obito grinned. Obito said, "And we'll help you find her." Obito scowled as Rin gave him a hug, saying, "It's the least I could do for Sensei and Kushina-sama after what I had done." "But Obito, Mom and Dad forgive you. They told me themselves," Naruto replied. With a sorrowful tone, Obito said, "I'm sorry, Naruto, but I just can't believe that. Not after what I've done." Naruto tried to come up with an idea because he didn't want to see his surrogate father in this state. "Hey kid, I have an idea to make this sulking Uchiha stop his bitching," Kurama responded. Naruto began to smile as he listened intently. Next, Naruto made his trademark hand gesture. As two clones emerged, Naruto yelled his signature jutsu, Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Obito and Rin couldn't understand why Naruto did this. Naruto approached his clones and touched each one. The two were suddenly consumed by golden flames. Minato and Kushina were standing in front of them when the flames went out. Obito and Rin were stunned. Minato grinned broadly and said, "It's been a long time since we last saw each other. You've both grown." Sensei? Is that really you?" Rin cried, her eyes welling with happiness. Minato replied, "Yep." Obito got up from the table, went to his sensei, and gave him a look. It really is you, isn't it?" Obito exclaimed, shocked. To everyone's surprise, Kushina suddenly punched Obito in the head. "Mom! Why'd you do that?" Naruto cried out in disbelief. Kushina rubbed her fist and said, "That was for being a baka." Obito said with a dejected expression, "I deserved that." Suddenly, he felt a kiss on his cheek. When he looked up, he saw that Kushina had done it. Kushina grinned and said, "And that was for saving my son and taking care of him." Then a hand touched Obito's head. It was his sensei, he realized as he turned. With a grateful smile, Minato said, "Thank you, Obito, for keeping an eye on Naruto." How can you both forgive me after what I've done?" Obito questioned, shocked that Kushin and his sensei could forgive him so readily. "I've watched you grow up back when we were a part of Team 7. You're a good boy, or man now. I know that the only way you'd ever do something so horrible was if you were being controlled by someone else to do so," Minato said, removing his hand from his former student's head. "But I did it on my own free will. I took you away from Naruto and destroyed your family, making his life a misery. I'm asking, are you sorry?" Minato said. "What?" inquired Obito. Once more, Minato asked, "Are you sorry?" Obito broke down in tears. "So very, very sorry, sensei." With a smile, Minato said, "Then I forgive you." Kushina replied, "Same with me, TT Ibane." Obito gave them a startled look. Minato ruffled Naruto's head and said, "And besides, you saved our son, and raised him to be a fine shinobi." Wanting to beat the living daylights out of the copy nin, Kushina added, "Unlike Kakashi." Minato remarked, "And for that, I am grateful." Kushina responded, "As am I." Both of them grinned at him. Naruto grinned and asked, "Now do you believe me?" "Naruto," began Obito. After giving him a quick glance, Naruto was taken aback when he gave him a hug. Obito began to cry and said, "Thank you." Naruto hugged him back and said, "Anytime, sensei." Rin began to get up and walked to her sensei, hugging him and Kushina as they parted ways. She shed happy tears and said, "I'm so happy to see you both again." As he and Kushina gave the brunette a hug, Minato remarked, "Same here. I'm so happy you're alive again, Rin." In the hopes that they would agree, Rin said, "I was just about to cook dinner, would you two like to join?" Minato smiled and said, "Why not?" Kushina said, "I'll help you cook." "Oh no, Kushina. Sama, you are my guest," Rin replied. Kushin said, "I insist, Rin-chan." Rin grinned as she went to the kitchen with Kushina. As he and the two blondes sat down, Obito said, "So you are now within Naruto?" Minato grinned broadly and said, "Yep. And it was all thanks to the Kyuubi no Kitsune, Kurama." With a determined tone, Obito said, "Sensei. I promise that I too will also look for Akane, you have my word." With a sincere smile, Minato said, "I know, Obito." Naruto felt content. In addition to spending time with his family, he brought Obito joy. Although it was pleasant, it would have been preferable if his former team had been present. "How are they doing, I wonder?" Gazing out the window, Naruto pondered. Sasuke Uchiha was breathing heavily at Konoha's training ground 7 following his spar with Kakashi. Kakashi remarked, "You're improving." Sasuke grinned confidently and said, "And I'm just going to get better." Beneath his mask, Kakashi simply grinned. He has inherited the will of Naruto. He proudly carries the will of fire and has an unwavering determination. "Are you a Naruto fan? You are undoubtedly strengthening Sakura and him. Sasuke is deviating from his path of vengeance because of you," Kakashi grinned. "I think that's enough for today, Sasuke. You don't want your body to quit on you, right?" replied Kakashi. Before bowing to his sensei and heading home from the training grounds, Sasuke sheathed his O-katana. As she appeared beside Kakashi, Jiraiya remarked, "He's actually showing respect." Kakashi said, "It's all thanks to him." Jiraiya gave a nod of approval. Sasuke gazed up at the stars as he made his way home. "I swear to Naruto that I will overcome my hatred, become stronger, and defend Sakura. Don't worry, brother. I won't let you down," Sasuke thought, grinning, a single tear streaming down his cheek. Sakura was breathing heavily at another training ground. She was subjected to an intense training regimen from the moment she began training under Tsunade. She struggled every day as though she were about to die, but she never gave up because neither she nor Naruto would give up. Tsunade grinned proudly as she gazed at her student. Sakura continued to fight despite Tsunade pushing her so hard that everyone else would have given up. Tsunade questioned, "Still not giving up?" Sakura proudly yelled her and Naruto's words while also thrusting her fist, saying, "No, never. Naruto-kun wouldn't and neither will, Shanaru. Believe it." Tsunade's eyes were watering. "Look at her, Naruto. You created her in this manner. I'm thrilled that she accepted your will, but we would do anything to have you back." Are you okay, Tsunade? Shisho? Sakura inquired worriedly. Wiping away her tears, Tsunade said, "Yes, of course. That's enough for today, Sakura. Go home and rest, you deserved it." Before heading home, Sakura bowed to her sensei and said, "Thank you, Tsunade, Shisho." When Tsunade felt arms encircling her, Jiraiya placed his chin on her shoulder and remarked, "She's also gotten stronger thanks to the kid." Going deeper into the hug, Tsunade said, "Yeah, she sure has." Sakura blew a kiss to her guardian angel, wherever he might be, as she drove home, looking up into the eyes of Naruto-kun. "I promise, I will get stronger and be worthy of your sacrifice. Just keep watch my Shugo number Tenchi." Naruto began to get ready for bed after assisting Rin with the dishes. After dinner, his parents had already come back to him. Naruto said, "Good night, you guys," and went to bed. Rin smiled warmly and said, "Good night, Naruto-kun, sweet dreams." Obito smiled and said, "Night, kid." Rin and Obito went to bed as Naruto shut his door. As she changed, Rin uttered her boyfriend's name, Obito. "Sort of," Obito said. She questioned him, "Remember what Naruto said earlier?" "Depends, he says a lot of things," Obito grinned. She sat on her side of the bed and said, "He called Minato, Sensei and Kushina, Sama, his real parents." Obito sat beside her on his side and remarked, "Well, they're his real parents." "Yes, but does that mean that he thinks of us as?" After realizing what she meant, Obito grinned and held her, saying with a sincere smile, "I guess he does." Rin also gave him a smile. After exchanging good night kisses, they went to bed and shut off the lights. Mamoru was dozing off on the blonde's bed in Naruto's room while the young Jinchuriki reached for a sketchbook. He developed a passion for sketching. Rin loved all of his sketches, and the fact that his surrogate mother enjoyed them made him happy. It also brought him peace. Naruto continued to turn the pages until he discovered what he was searching for, at which point he grinned. As soon as Sakura entered her bedroom, she stripped down to her underwear. She took her photo of Team 7 and sat down on her bed. As she gazed at Naruto's face, her eyes glistened with both joy and sorrow. He was giving Sasuke that direct, irritated look, but she found it endearing and it always made her laugh. As she did every night, she laid down on her bed with Naruto's picture to her chest and kissed it. Before she went to sleep, she said, "Good night, Naruto-kun." Naruto gazed at a drawing he had made of Sakura from memory, and it was an exact replica of her. He gazed at Sakura's flawless face, his eyes shimmering with both joy and sadness. She continued to look stunning, which made him happy every time. As he does every night, he laid down on his bed with the sketchbook to his chest and kissed the drawing of Sakura's forehead. Before he went to sleep, he said, "Good night, Sakura-chan." When Naruto awoke, he was lying on a dirt path and discovered that he was 8 years old once more. After noticing a shadow looming over him, he turned to see an 8-year-old girl with pink hair. The young blonde called herself Sakura-chan. Sakura gave him a smile and extended her hand. Grinning, Naruto grasped her hand and was raised off the ground. Simply grinning at one another, the two began strolling along the path. As Sakura and Naruto strolled along the never-ending path together, Minato and Kushina observed. In reality, the two were lying in bed, grinning broadly at their lovely dream. There were guards everywhere in a restricted area. It is their responsibility to defend this man who provides Otogakure with supplies in exchange for money, land, and all the women he desires. Two guards were talking to each other inside a corridor. One guard asked, "So who are we supposed to protect this guy from?" The other said, "You know, assassins, angry mobs, the usual. I don't see why Orochimaru-sama doesn't kill this guy. Probably because the old snake bastard's really desperate," a voice said. One of the guards glanced at the other and said, "What? What did you say?" but watched in horror as blood trickled down his nose and mouth before his head slowly dropped from his neck. The guard was so terrified that he wanted to scream, but before he could do so, a hand shot through his chest, grasping and then crushing his heart. The dead guard collapsed onto the ground in a pool of his and the other guard's blood after the hand was severed. A man with a hood over his head and a black cloak with red clouds on it stood over the bodies. His eyes glowed red as he peered down at the corpses. Before vanishing, he uttered the words, "Pitiful scum." An Auto.Nin in heavy armor, who was undoubtedly in charge of 20 other Auto.Nin, said, "All right everyone, look alive." He started to say, "We are to protect this man with our very lives," but was halted by a hooded man who landed on top of him and stabbed him in the head with a kunai. The man really got into the brains by twisting and turning the kunai. As their commander was killed with ease, the 20 Auto.Nin watched in horror. The man rose slowly, displaying his red, glowing eyes and what appeared to be horns growing from his head. Since they all believed he was a demon, the Auto.Nin were terrified. They jumped at the sound of the man's bones crunching as he cracked his neck. They were terrified as the man stared at them without saying anything. Abruptly, 2 trench knives emerged from his sleeves and landed in his hands. The man merely said, staring at them. As chakra appeared in the blades and extended them into long chakra swords, he said darkly and excitedly, "It's my lucky day." Then the man ran after them and began to slaughter them. As he watched his fellow shinobi being massacred, a terrified Auto.Nin collapsed to the ground and scrambled to the wall. The man in the hood sliced through them all, severing their limbs and severing their heads. He witnessed the man stab an Auto.Nin in both eyes, leaving him bleeding out and screaming on the ground. He watched as he effortlessly snapped their neck after grabbing one of their heads. He watched as he severed one of the Auto.Nin's arms and seized it, only to repeatedly beat another Auto.Nin into a bloody pulp with it. He witnessed piercing an Auto.Nin's back with his hand, ripping out his spine, and then using the vertebrae to stab another Auto.Nin through the head. He was a Junin and had never seen such horror. He was the only other Auto.Nin standing, and he was trembling like a leaf while holding a kunai. This Auto.Nin was terrified of the demon man, just like him. The man with the hood simply stood there like a statue, no, more like a hawk examining its victim and playing with it out of fear. Even before he died, the Auto.Nin felt like he should go to the bathroom just by staring at him with those soulless eyes. He thought he was looking directly into the depths of hell as the Auto.Nin gazed into his eyes, observing the agonizing horror and conflagration of devastation within those eyes. The terrible things he had done over the years were taunting and haunting him. It was too much, he was at his breaking point. In the throat, The Auto.Nin stabbed himself. His fear, which was only heightened by one look, led him to take his own life. Pathetic scum. Committing suicide from just a stare, how pitiful. But then again, you weren't the first, the man with the hood said. The hooded man came toward the Auto.Nin, who watched in horror. The Auto.Nin clutched his legs in terror and began to tremble in a fetal position. With his red, glowing eyes fixed on his own, the hooded man halted in front of the Auto.Nin and knelt before him. The hooded man demanded answers, asking, "Where is he?" He's just behind that door." The Auto.Nin hurriedly replied, his voice displaying fear. The man thanked him and then used a kunai to stab him in the brain. A girl, who was kicking and sobbing, was being raped by a man in a green business suit on the other side of the door. He had a slight build and only had hair around the top of his head. The door was abruptly kicked open. "What the hell?" exclaimed the man in the green suit. A hooded man with horns on top of his head and red, soulless eyes were the only features of his face visible as he entered the room. This must be the Shinigami, the suited man thought, paralyzed with fear. By kicking him in the groin, the girl he was holding used the moment to break free. Then she bolted from the room, passing the hooded man who was just staring at the scumbag in the suit while clutching his crotch. "Who the fuck are you?" exclaimed the man in the suit. He heard the girl who had kicked him scream out of nowhere. The bodies of the Auto.Nin that were meant to protect him were visible when he looked past the hooded man. Seeing all the cruel ways they were killed, he watched in horror. Then he saw the man approaching him. Fearfully, the man in the suit reached for a kunai. "Stay away. I may not look it, but I am pretty handy with a kunai. Do you know who I am?" Kaizo Yurio, weapons supplier, loves to torture innocents in private and rape young girls and women, not caring for age. You're funding Otogakure for protection. A very foolish decision. The man with the hood said in a monotone voice. Kaizo trembled like a leaf. This man, no, this thing, was aware of his identity and his passions. He was utterly terrified. Right in front of him, the hooded man came to a halt and fixed his soulless gaze on him. The hooded man said, "Now Kit." Abruptly, a fox kit leapt from the man's hood and bit Kaizo's neck, knocking him to the ground. As the fox kit withdrew, he tore a piece of meat from Kaizo's neck because it had bitten so deeply. Kaizo grabbed his bleeding, injured neck and screamed. The horned man slammed his foot on Kaizo's arm as he attempted to seize the kunai that was lying on the ground. Kaizo was paralyzed with terror when he saw the man's appearance without his hood. He noticed what appeared to be a demonic mask. The animal had two horns on top of its head, a spike protruding from its chin, two sets of fangs, one on the top and one on the bottom, a pair of nostrils, but no nose, and, lastly, bandages covering his eyes, which still showed their red glow. Kaizo puked because he was so scared. After putting his foot firmly on Kaizo's elbow, the masked man seized his forearm. Kaizo was aware of his intentions. The masked man then pulled the forearm, tearing it out of its socket and causing it to bend in the wrong direction. "No, no, 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 no," he said. Kaizo let out a loud cry that was audible to everyone nearby. After grabbing Kaizo, the demon man slammed his head against a table's corner, causing it to bleed, and then slammed his face through the closest window, severing his entire face and causing it to bleed. Then Kaizo turned his bleeding to face the demon man. The demon's face and soul. Piercing eyes were the last things Kaizo saw before the demon man took his thumbs and gouged them through Kaizo's eyes. Kaizo continued to scream due to the severe pain he was experiencing, but the demon man's successful neck snap and head twisting silenced him forever. Kaizo fell to the ground after the demon man let him go. The demon man's soulless red eyes were fixed on the corpse. Alongside him, the young fox kid continued to gaze at the body. With a finger inserted into his earhole, the demon man declared, "Mission accomplished. Target, Kaizo Yurio, has been eliminated." A male voice on the other end of his earcom said, "Roger that, Hashi. Meet you back at base." Hashi stooped to pick up the fox kid and set him on his head before covering him and his head with the hood. When Hashi turned around, the girl was still there, frozen in terror at the sight of the bodies. She flinched as he approached her and touched her shoulder. As he and the girl were caught in a yellow flash, Hashi said, "Let's get you out of here." To see the bodies of the Auto.Nin tasked with protecting Kaizo, the Auto.Nin ran all the way to the location where they heard the scream. At the sight, the Auto.Nin froze in disgust and horror. Some even threw up. A few of them emerged from their state of horror. An Auto.Nin with heavy armor and a huge rope knotted around his waist commanded, "Check the bodies." Those who emerged from their daze said, "Yes, General Dai." Dai glared at the corpses. Whoever had done this was a skilled and expert killer. One of the Auto Nins said, General Dai, you better come and see this, sir. Dai entered the adjacent room and saw Kaizo Yurio's bloody, handled corpse. Looks like the work of an assassin, a rather sloppy one. Dai replied. Well boys, that only leaves one question. They were all looking at him. Who's going to be the lucky one to tell Orochimaru Sama about Kaizo's unfortunate happening? Everyone was frozen. And Otto.Nin said, shouldn't you be the one to do that, sir? I have other things that I must attend to. But you on the other hand seem to have some free time on your hands. You tell Orochimaru Sama, Dai replied. The Otto.Nin began, but sir, before being stabbed in the throat. As he tore his kunai from the now dead Otto Nin's neck, Dai remarked, never talk back to your commanding officer. He pivoted and gestured to another Otto.Nin. The selected Otto.Nin gulped and said, you there. You tell Orochimaru Sama. Fearing he would also be stabbed to death, he replied, yes, Genera Dai. A flash of gold appeared far away from the area, and as it disappeared, Hashi and the girl were there. The girl stepped back from Hashi and fixed her gaze on him. Hashi disappeared in a burst of yellow light after saying, you are free now. Go back to your village. A new dawn is entering the world. The girl smiled joyfully and shed tears of happiness. The young girl said, arigato, as she headed back to her nearby home village. After returning to the base with the fox kit, Hashi ran into Yahiko and Obito. Hashi said in a monotone, it is done. Yahiko said, good. And could you show a little emotion in your voice? Hashi is a soldier for peace who must never show emotion, Hashi stated. Oh, cut the crap, Naruto, and take that damn thing off, said Obito. With a sigh, Hashi untied the ribbons holding his mask in place and removed it to reveal a sun-kissed, smiling adolescent with blonde hair who had 3 birthmarks resembling whiskers on each cheek. The left side of his face was crushed on his forehead, chin, and lower lip. Sorry, I just get real into my character. Obito said, just ease up, okay. Naruto grinned and remarked, this from a guy who acts like a complete child when he puts on his mask. He's got you there, Toby, Yahiko grinned. According to Obito, that's Obito. Come on Naruto, better head home so Rin can clean the blood off of your cloak. Naruto said, can you just clean it off with a water jutsu? Naruto, I'm a Kaden user, I don't know a single water jutsu, said Obito. With a hint of desperation, Naruto remarked, you got to know some kind of water jutsu. Yahiko said, something wrong at home. Rin-chan has been a bit on edge lately, for some reason. And she doesn't really like it when Naruto gets his clothes all dirty. Obito grinned nervously. Yahiko remarked, oh come on, it can't be that bad. Rin exclaimed, how many times have I told you not to dirty your clothes? Which caused Naruto to wince in terror. It's going to take me all day to clean this blood off your cloak. This is all your fault, Obito. My fault? Cried Obito. Rin screamed, yes, your fault, for making him an assassin in the first place, at her fiancé. But silence. Like a submissive dog, Obito sat quietly after saying, yes, ma'am. Naruto whispered to Obito, who put a bee in her underwear. Rin screamed, what was that? And Naruto winced. Raising his hands defensively, he hurriedly said, nothing ma'am. When Rin struck him in the head with a frying pan, Obito and Mamoru stopped laughing at the scene. What are you laughing at? Obito yelled, ow. That hurt damn it, but began to second guess himself when he saw Rin begin to cry. But it was too late. Rin-chan, don't cry, please. I am such a horrible girlfriend, Rin wept. With a drab expression, Naruto uttered, smooth move, Casanova. Holding her in an embrace, Obito remarked, no Rin-chan, you are a perfect girlfriend, and I am lucky to have you. Rin dried her tears and said, thank you, Obito.kun. She said, I'm hungry now. She left him behind and went into the kitchen, leaving the fox kid and 2 spiky-haired boys staring at her in confusion. Naruto questioned, what just happened? Obito sat down beside Naruto at the table and remarked, well, you see Naruto, when 2 people are in love, they usually, who am I kidding, I have no freaking idea. Obito pointed to Rin eating an onion dipped in maple syrup and said, first she's been puking constantly, then the mood swings. And now that. He put his elbow on the table and rested his chin on his hand, saying, I don't understand what's going on. Naruto simply gave Obito a, are you serious? Expression, and he says I'm an idiot. Naruto simply chose to take a chance while Rin approached them. "Rin, are you pregnant?" he asked, causing Rin to pause in shock, Obito's mouth to drop, and Mamoru's eyes to widen. Rin smiled, scratching the back of her head, and said, "Oh, well, now that you mention it, yes. I wanted it to be a surprise." Obito froze, gazing at Rin. "Obito-kun, are you alright?" Naruto smirked as he watched. 3, 2, 1. Obito spun Rin around with such joy and snatched her into his embrace with lightning speed. Obito cried with a great deal of happiness, "We're going to be parents." Feeling a little lightheaded, Rin said, "Obito-kun, could you please put me down, before I vomit again?" "Oh, sorry." Obito put his fiancée down and apologized. When Obito said, "But I'm just so happy. This is what I've dreamed of since we were still a part of Team 7. Rin locked her lips with his to silence her. Rin gave him a sincere smile as they parted ways. Obito blushed and grinned in shame as she said, "You talk too much." He scratched the back of his head. Naruto muttered, "Wow, I'm going to be a brother." When Naruto looked up, he saw Rin and Obito grinning at him. "What was that, Naruto-kun?" he asked. With his hands raised in defense, Naruto hurriedly remarked, "Oh, it was nothing, Rin-chan." Rin and Obito simply burst out laughing because they had heard Naruto and were pleased by his words. A cloud of smoke suddenly materialized in the center of the space. When it disappeared, Yahiko was visible. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything," he replied. Obito said, "Yahiko, what are you doing here?" "I'm here for Naruto. I've got a new mission for him," Yahiko replied. A little taken aback, Naruto exclaimed, "A mission? Already?" Rin stated, "But he just got back." "I know, but he's the only one I can think of who can really help on this one," Yahiko replied. Rising from his chair, Naruto went to retrieve his cloak and mask. Yahiko said, You might want to wash the blood off from those things." Rin grabbed the mask and cloak and walked away with them to clean them, shouting, "I know. Just because you are the boss of the Akatsuki, doesn't mean you are the boss of my house." Before leaving, Yahiko's expression was one of surprise that the kind, good-natured Rin had actually screamed at him in that manner. Yahiko questioned, "What's her problem?" Obito remarked, "Long story." Yahiko was shocked when Naruto abruptly stated, "She's pregnant." Yahiko shook the hand of the Uchiha and said, "Oh, well then, congratulations Obito." In a puff of smoke, he whispered, "Once you get your cloak and mask back, meet me at the base." Rin shouted from the adjacent room, "I heard a poof. Would it kill him to use a different Shushin? Open a window for Kami's sake?" Obito nodded as Naruto said, "These are going to be a long 9 months, huh?" He was wearing his cloak and holding his mask when Naruto and Mamoru, who was on his head, arrived at the base. He entered to greet Yahiko and Obito, who had undoubtedly arrived using his space time jutsu. Naruto inquired, "So what's this mission?" With a commanding tone, Yahiko stated, "You are being assigned a retrieval mission." "The target?" Naruto asked, staring intently. "The Nanbi Jinchuriki." Naruto raised his eyebrows and said, "The Nanbi Jinchuriki, permission to ask a series of questions, sir?" Yahiko said, "Permission granted. Why am I being selected?" "Since you are the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, you have a greater chance of convincing her to join us." "Does she still reside in Takigakure?" "Yes." "Is Kakuzu joining me to retrieve her? And if so, is Hidan joining as well?" "No, Kakuzu is an S-ranked criminal in his village. If he is seen it will cause a panic, most likely leading to frightening the Nanbi Jinchuriki, which is of course, not something we wish for. Besides, Kakuzu despises his old village and holds a deep hatred for it." "Then am I going in alone?" "No, we are also sending Itachi and Kisame as well, just in case." "You said I had a greater advantage of convincing her, what of B?" "You are serious when you have to be and have controlled your loud and brash nature, while B is too eccentric that he might lose her interest in joining Akatsuki." "What kind of opposition will I be facing?" "Nothing, unless you cause a stir in Taki, then you will have to deal with Chunin, Junin and Anbu." "Is that all?" "Yes, sir." When Yahiko was done, Naruto grabbed Mamoru, put him in the small pouch inside his cloak, and shushed away. "Good. You leave in an hour." "That went a lot different than what I expected in my head," said Obito. Yahiko agreed, saying, "Same here." With Mamoru in his cloak, Naruto packed everything he needed in his sealing scrolls and proceeded to the base's entrance to meet Itachi and Kisame. With a toothy smile, Kisame said, "About time you showed up, Gaki." Naruto said, "Are you and the Guppy Brain all set?" "Guppy Brain?" cried Kisame irritatedly. Although Itachi's face was emotionless, he was secretly grinning at the insult he had given Kisame. Yes. We are prepared for travel. Naruto replied, good. The air around Kisame and Itachi suddenly became cold and heavy as he put on his mask. Hashi said impassively, let us go, and ran into the trees. Kisame and Itachi trailed closely behind, but they were taken aback by the abrupt transformation that had just occurred. Naruto had completely changed. He was no longer Naruto Uzumaki Senju, the mischievous boy with golden hair and a big smile. He was now Hashi no Shi, the creature who has dedicated his life to spilling the blood of innumerable people in the name of peace. After traveling for a day, the four made camp. They began consuming the pork from the boar Kisame had previously killed while they were seated around the fire. Kisame said to Naruto, so kid, been wondering, where'd you get the idea of that mask of yours? Naruto continued to chew his pork, then swallowed it and turned to face Kisame. I got the idea from a picture of the Gedo Mazo statue that Nagato once summoned after he went a bit, you know. Naruto examined his face. I figured that since I have to wear a mask, why not one that can strike fear into pathetic maggots that are lower than scum? Kisame smiled and said, nice. You still thinking about your old village and your friends? Naruto touched his scarred left face and remarked, pretty hard to forget when you have so many memories of them. Mamoru went to his best friend's side and tried to comfort him by rubbing against him, saying, especially since I wake up to a piece of it I'll have forever. Kisame said, don't whine about a little injury Gaki. Given how serious the injury is, Itachi was a little irritated by it. Naruto surprised the three by saying, actually, I don't hate it, I consider it a blessing. Kisame was genuinely taken aback and asked, are you serious? Kisame was shocked to learn that the silent, emotionless Itachi, with whom he had been partners for years, was genuinely interested in something unrelated to his business. Please, explain, Itachi said. The reason I got these scars in the first place was because I saved my friends' lives, at the risk of losing my own. Said Naruto. Every time I wake up in the morning, I think of all the lives I've taken over time. I don't regret it, but I always wonder, is this really me? Is this what I am destined to be? A tool for murder? Have I really sold my soul for the one thing I never wanted to become? Am I still Naruto Uzumaki? Naruto was lost in his thoughts. Kisame and Itachi felt sorry for the child. But these scars help me whenever I look into my reflection and see these. They are a reminder of who I was, what I fought for, what I believed in, who I loved. It is then I realize that no matter how much blood I spill and what actions I take, I am still Naruto Uzumaki because I fight for, believe in, and love the same things and people. It is who I am. I also realize something that many in our respective villages never could see. The last sentence caught the attention of the other two. The profession I once followed is completely different from the one I now follow, said Naruto. While Itachi maintained his composure, he was secretly as inquisitive as a child, and Kisame had one eyebrow raised. Kisame and Itachi were taken aback when he said, assassins are meant to kill. There is no common ground. Shinobi are meant to endure. A shinobi kills, but only for those he has sworn to protect, those he cares about, those he loves, those who he would never turn his back on. Assassins kill when they are told to, and only for that reason. We are not the same. And we never will be. Naruto concluded. Kisame questioned, so then, what does that make you? Naruto asked, isn't it clear? Kisame and Itachi now have a greater respect for the boy after he declared, I am Naruto Uzumaki. I fight for what I believe in. And I will die as so. One thing was certain. He was either an assassin or a shinobi. He was aware of his identity. Glancing up at the sky, Naruto remarked, well, isn't that nice? Itachi and Kisame noticed a shooting star in the sky. Kisame said, making a wish? Naruto remarked, I already made one. The four-person team arrived in Takigakure. The four had to navigate a network of underwater caverns beneath a sizable waterfall in order to enter the village. Mamoru was fortunate to be inside Naruto's cloak because, as in the previous instance, he would have been struck by the waterfall. It was really lovely, and it was constructed around a big tree. As Naruto put it, this place is beautiful. Rather than donning his Hashi no Shi mask, Naruto wore a hat similar to Itachi and Kisame's and a mask similar to the one his former sensei Kakashi typically wears. He reasoned that wearing a handcrafted mask was not the best way to make an impression, particularly when you're trying to persuade someone whose life is likely to be as miserable as his own. Why does Kakuzu even hate this place? It's because he was assigned to assassinate your ancestor Hashirama, but failed to do so, Itachi replied. And since he screwed up, they decided to punish him by sending him off to jail, said Kisame. With a grim expression in his eyes, Naruto folded his arms and uttered, "Really? Seems kind of harsh. I mean, if everyone was afraid of Madara, then what on Kami's earth made them think it was a good idea to kill my great-grandpops, when he was stronger than Madara?" Kisame said, "Power, kid. It makes people go nuts." Naruto nodded in agreement. Itachi nodded to Naruto before he and Kisame disappeared into a secluded area of the village. "We'll scout ahead. If we see the Nandi Jinchuriki, we will inform you of her location." While Mamoru popped his head out of the cloak's collar, Naruto stood there for a while. Naruto smiled and asked the fox kid, "Want to see how the ramen is here?" The kitsune nodded. Afterwards the two had departed from the neighborhood ramen shop. Naruto grumbled to his younger companion, "Man, that ramen was too watery, tt ibeo." Something was yipped to him by Mamoru. "Oh yeah, the Naruto fish cakes on the other hand was great. Best I've ever had." Thanks to his earcom, Itachi's voice echoed in his mind, "Naruto. Do you copy, over?" Naruto answered, "Yeah, I'm here. Did you find her?" A 15-year-old girl with mocha-colored skin bolted from a bar. Her short mint green hair had an orange clip in it, was spiky at the bottom, and ended at her shoulders. She had orange eyes. She wore long white armlets, fishnet shorts, a short white apron skirt, and a short sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath. On her back, she also carried a cylindrical item wrapped in red. Tears filled her eyes as she fled, afraid to turn around. "You little slut!" A random shinobi shouted, clutching her Hitai.8. "You never deserved to wear this in the first place, you." "And even though she's a demon, I wouldn't mind said another tacky shinobi, but he went silent when he sensed a wave of murderous intent behind him. "Too bad she left. I wanted to beat on her more." When the two shinobi turned around, they saw a straw hat wearing masked man sitting on a single chair in the center of the room, his fingers intertwined and locked. Creepily, the man in the mask said, "Wouldn't mind what?" His straw hat prevented anyone from seeing his eyes. The two men shook like leaves and remained silent. The man in the mask asked, "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue?" "Oh, that's right. The Nibby is in Kumo. You two, along with the rest of this place no doubt, just love to harm an innocent little insect that doesn't even bite back." One of the men regained their voice, saying, What are you talking about? That thing isn't innocent," but lost it once more when the masked man intensified his murderous intent. With hatred in his voice and rage in his veins, the masked man uttered, "All she does is try her best to be an excellent kunoichi, to protect her home, and gain the respect from all you, but you all just harm her and spit on her compassion and loyalty. Scum. Worthless scum, the lot of you." A massive, 3 times tall shinobi grabbed the masked man's shoulder and said, "All right pal, that's enough of your crap." A huge error. Grabbing the shinobi's hand, the masked man skillfully twisted it until it came loose from its sockets. Moving as fast as the wind, the masked man got up, grabbed his chair, and slammed it upside the shinobi's jaw as he screamed. The man was then hurled through the wall after the masked man punched him in the stomach, causing him to vomit blood. The speed with which the enigmatic man defeated a Junin as well as a shinobi as if it were insignificant astounded everyone. Despite being terrified of the man, all of the shinobi in the bar surrounded him with their kunai ready. Pointing to the Hitai.8 in the first shinobi's hand, the man turned back to face the other two. He said, "Give that to me." The shinobi exclaimed, What?" The masked man said with a concealed scowl, "You have taken it from her, and I am taking it back. It is shameful to deprive a fellow shinobi of their own Hitai.8. The man pointed to the Hitai.8 and exclaimed, "Hey, hold up. How do you know she didn't steal it?" The man in the mask pushed his hat down, covering his face completely. "She is a Jinchuriki. Jinchuriki fight their entire lives. They're bound to earn something after fight for so long, and they deserve it wholeheartedly. If you feel that they do not at all." The man then removed his hat, exposing a masked face that looked demonic, complete with horns, fangs, and a bandage around his eyes, but behind it, his eyes glowed red, frightening the living daylights out of everyone. "Then I'll have to teach you a lesson. One that you'll never forget." With an expression devoid of emotion, the girl from earlier sat against a wall and held her knees close to her. Beside her was her cylindrical object. She had wiped away her tears as she thought about all the horrible things that had happened to her throughout her life. She was attacked by her fellow villagers, had food thrown at her in retaliation, lost her parents in a fire started by a group of hateful villagers, and was now deprived of her shinobi Hitai.8 after earning it through hard work. She wanted to leave her village because she detested it. "How am I going to leave this place?" she pondered. Then she saw a shadow looming over her. When the girl looked up, She saw a man with a straw hat on top of his head and a mask covering the lower half of his face. He was dressed in a black cloak with red clouds on it. The man cheerfully tipped his hat at her and said, "Ohio." The young girl's expression was emotionless as she gazed at the man before turning back to the floor. The man's eyes were sad. He recognized that expression from anywhere because he had experienced it himself. "Not having a good day?" the man who was seated beside her asked. She turned away and said, "Go away." The man, with his hat over his eyes, looked down at the ground and said, "Yeah, life hasn't been that good to me either. Pain, misery, anger. Story of my life." The girl asked sharply, "What do you want?" The man turned to face her and said, "I wanted to offer you something." The girl asked indifferently, "What?" The man replied, "A chance." With empathy in his eyes, he said, "A chance for you to be happy. A chance to reach your full potential. A chance to belong." Then he got up and extended his hand to her. "Come with me, Fu, and I promise you'll be happy." This man sounded suspicious, so Fu didn't believe what he was saying. He was most likely waiting for her to drop her guard before killing her. No more Fu. Fu began to consider her options until she came up with one. The ideal way to accomplish two goals at once. She grinned at her small scheme. Fu got to his feet and said, "Okay, I'll go with you." Fu crossed her arms and said, "If you help get my brother out of jail." The man questioned, "Why is your brother in jail?" "You know who I am, right?" Fu asked, and the man nodded. "Then you also know that people around here don't really like me, and the reason why." The man nodded once more, but there was a hint of melancholy in his eyes this time. "Well, since people don't like me here, they don't like my brother either. When he tried to protect me, they beat him and arrested him. I haven't seen him since I was a little girl. If you save my brother, then I'll go with you. Deal?" The man nodded and said, "Deal. Where is the jail?" "It's at the northeast side of the village. I heard he's on the 50th floor, Fu replied. The man leapt onto a building and began walking toward the jail, saying, "I promise Fu Chan, I will get your brother back. I will meet you back here later tonight." Because of the suffix the enigmatic man had added to her name, Fu was still standing there blushing. "That's a first, Fu Chan." The man landed on top of a building a short distance away and searched for anyone. He went pissed when he realized everything was safe, and then all of a sudden a fox kid emerged from his cloak. "Okay Mamoru, I need you to keep an eye on Fu Chan. If anything happens, contact me through your mind link, okay?" After leaping out of the cloak and giving Naruto a fictitious salute, Mamoru fled to watch the Nanbi Jinchuriki. Naruto got to his feet and began walking toward the village jail. A guard was on patrol when he felt a chakra spark. As he braced himself for the worst, the guard prepared his katana. His entire world abruptly darkened. Naruto had his hand in a chopping position as he stood over the man. Then he took the man's lifeless body and placed it in a barrel close by. Before inserting him, he punctured a few holes in the barrel's top to allow for breathing. After that, Naruto entered stealth mode and began moving toward the 50th floor. He began to hear what some of the guards were saying as he moved along some beams. One guard rubbed the back of his neck and remarked, "Rika sure is being a pain in my ass lately." One of the other guards questioned, "What's it about this time?" The first guard informed her that she's afraid of letting Rito go to the academy. A third guard remarked, "Your wife really needs to lighten up." "I know, A new guard approached the other three and said, "Hey guys, did you hear?" One of the other guards said, "Hear what?" "Well, some shinobi from a bar took away the Nanbi brats Hitai.8, but then some guy came out nowhere and beat them up, along with the rest of the shinobi that were in the bar." The security officer explained it to them. One of the other guards exclaimed, "All by himself?" "Yeah, it wasn't a pretty sight," a guard said. "They should have just killed the brat." "Well, they were getting their butts kicked." "No Yubaka, I'm talking about the Nanbi brat." "Oh, yeah, I agree. Same here. Life would be better without her and the rest of her kind." Naruto was furious about that. He impulsively leapt to the ground and began beating the four guards to the ground. There was no chance for them. Naruto struck one of their heads with a forceful blow to the ground. Finally, he grabbed the heads of the final two and slammed them together, effectively knocking them out. He then chopped at the back of another person's neck, knocking them out. Naruto gave them a glare that was both angry and disgusted. As he picked up each of their bodies one by one and hid them in the shadows out of sight, Naruto uttered the words, "Scum, the lot of them." In case someone could sense the chakra he'd used to create them, he didn't want to use his cage bushins. Naruto took care of the corpses before retreating back into the shadows and moving farther into the prison. Being in this village. The animosity toward Fu reminds me of Konoha, Naruto reflected. Naruto most likely wouldn't have wanted to return if it weren't for his dream of becoming Hokage and the friends he made there. As they entered, Itachi and Kisame were making their way. They came after spotting Fu and noticing that she was running for the door. A flurry of kunai was hurled at them as they followed her. They saw that they had explosive tags on them just as they were about to deflect them. The two were able to avoid the explosion by squeezing away. Itachi remarked, "That'll cause a problem." "Itching for a fight," Kisame said. "Fine by me, let them come. We can't stay here. Taki shinobi shall arrive any minute, and we cannot be spotted. We're here to get the Nanbi Jinchuriki. If we fight any of the shinobi of Taki, we will deliver the wrong intentions for Akatsuki," Itachi said to his cruel companion. Kisame looked disappointed and remarked, "I hate it when you're right. What about the Gakis? We shall find the Nanbi Jinchuriki once we find a way out of the village, and I don't believe I have to say anything else about Naruto," Itachi replied. "Are you not overestimating him?" Kisame asked, grinning broadly. As he and Kisame disappeared in a whirl of leaves, Itachi remarked, "If you knew the things he has done before becoming a part of Akatsuki, then you'd understand that we don't have to worry about him now." Fu was sprinting through the network of underwater caverns. If she had looked back, she would have seen the fox kid running after her, but she dared not. Fu thought, "I'm almost there." Her eyes were watering. At last, she was leaving the place that had never wanted her, had harmed her, had taken her parents away, and had made her life a living hell. She could taste freedom because she was so close to it. Fu ran all the way to the exit as she got close to it, and she eventually made it out. "I succeeded. But before she could complete her sentence, a single blow to the face rendered her unconscious. In time to witness Fu being carried away by a giant man with 4 auto-nin by his side and heavy armor covering his entire body, Mamoru fled the underwater cave system. The armored man wore a Fu sling over his shoulder, a massive warhammer on his back, and what appeared to be a traditional samurai helmet over his head. Mamoru had only one idea as he gazed at them. This isn't possible. A guard swung his ki around his finger while whistling a tune. Another guard yelled at the whistler, "Would you stop whistling, goddammit?" The whistler simply ignored him and continued to whistle. "Honestly, Daibo, I just wish you would." The guard turned to see Daibo had vanished after hearing a wail. "Disappear." The guard was attacked from behind and rendered unconscious before he could even draw his katana. Glancing down at the unconscious guard, Naruto held the keys that Daibo had. All of the criminals in prison were visible to Naruto as he went down the hall, but none of them had mocha skin, orange eyes, or mint green hair. A dirty prisoner with long, oily black hair who was holding the bars and had his face exposed said, "Well, look at you, you're good looking." The criminal made kissy noises and said, "You got a firm and delicious body there. How about bringing it over?" Naruto asked, "You a rapist?" But he had a gut feeling he was right. "And murderer, why? That turn ya." He began, but before he could say another word, Naruto pierced both of his eyes with his middle and index fingers. As they were torn out, the prisoner let out an even louder scream in response to the agony. With lightning speed, Naruto put on his Hashi mask. In his hands were the prisoner's eyes. Naruto stomped on the 2 eyeballs after releasing them from his grasp, saying, I wonder. Tell me if you can see this." The man lay on the ground, bleeding out, and continued to scream while clutching his empty eye sockets. As he observed the criminal in pain, Hashi jokingly asked, "Is that a yes or a no?" Hashi spun around to face another criminal who was completely terrified. Hashi showed up in front of his cell, took the prisoner by the shirt, and led him to the bars so he could confront the criminal face.to. Face. "Where is the Nanbi Jinchuriki's brother?" With fear in his voice, the prisoner uttered, "What are you talking about? The Nanbi brat doesn't have a brother. She's an only child." Hashi took hold of the prisoner's head and repeatedly slammed it against the bars because he didn't like the brat comment. He left the prisoner on the floor, his head bleeding, and walked back down the hall after releasing him. What the hell hit me?" said the previous guard. "Me." When the guard turned around, he saw a man with a bandage over his eyes and a monstrous, horned face. The terrified man was slammed against the wall by Hashi, who grabbed him by the neck. Hashi insisted, "Where is Fu's brother?" The guard said to him, "The Nanbi Jinchuriki? She doesn't have a brother." His hide and eye glowed red through the bandages as Hashi drew him closer to his face and squeezed his neck even harder. Hashi roared, "Don't you dare lie to me." The guard choked out, "I'm not." Hashi let go of the guard, who took advantage of the situation and fled to sound the alarm. "She doesn't even have a brother. I mean, maybe she was going to have one because her mother was pregnant when she died, but other than that, no others. The Nanbi Jinchuriki is just an only child." Naruto had returned with his straw hat and Kakashi, and Hashi was no longer there. He grinned behind his mask, realizing what had just transpired. And here I thought foxes were the only clever beings. Baka. Go find her, exclaimed Kurama. The alarm went off abruptly. Kurama and Naruto both sighed at the same time. Oh crap. Well, what now, Baka? In Naruto's mind, Kushina said, we'll help. In his head, Minato told his son, Naruto, summon us. We'll distract the guards while you go and find Fu. Kurama said, listen to them, Kit. There was no time to argue, so Naruto made his signature sealing sign and created 2 cage bushin. Mamoru just told me through the mind link that some auto.nin and one huge son of a bitch got to her, and are taking her away. Then he touched the 2 clones, and all of a sudden, golden flames surrounded them. Minato and Kushina stood in their Kyuubi mode state as the flames subsided. As he and Kushina vanished in golden flashes, Minato uttered the words, go take care of them, Sochi. Kurama said, you might want to hurry, Kit. With a nod, Naruto hurried down the corridor in search of an exit. Mamoru was silently pursuing the enigmatic giant, who was carrying Fu, and the group of auto.nin. After sensing Naruto approaching them, Mamoru made the decision to take immediate action to support his partner and best friend. To get their attention, Mamoru went into Kyuubi mode and ran behind a huge boulder, which the small fox kid was able to accomplish. Sensing the massive amount of chakra, the group of Auto and Giant came to a halt. The steel-armored mask the armored giant wore had a thin rectangular hole in it through which he could see. His eyes were narrowed but not visible. The enormous armored man threw Fu to one of the auto.nin and said, hold the girl. As he approached the boulder, the armored giant pulled out his enormous war hammer. Then he dropped his enormous hammer and struck the boulder, smashing it to pieces. He only saw a small fox kid sitting there with its tail swaying from side to side as the attack's dust settled. What the hell is this? Exclaimed the man in armor. Behind the armored man, a voice asked, isn't it obvious? When the armored man turned around, he saw a man with a stray hat, a mask covering his bottom jaw, and a black cloak with red clouds on it. You've just been ambushed. Ambushed? What the hell are you? The armored man was abruptly thrown to the ground by a ball of fire that struck him from behind. The armored man noticed that the fox kid had changed to golden flames when he looked up. The armored man got up as if nothing had happened to him and said, that explains it. The man pointed his war hammer at him and yelled, but you can't defeat me. I am Shiuishi, Otto's Iron Beast. And I got my eyes on you now, Mugiwara. Naruto asked himself, why does it seem like he's talking about someone else? Luffy coughing. Cough. Fu began to stir. After a few blinks, she realized she was being carried in a bridal manner. The man from earlier simply looked down and grinned at her when she looked up. With eye smiles and what she could assume was a genuine smile beneath his mask, the man in the mask said, I see you're finally awake, Bagu. Heim. She blushed at the new moniker he had given her. Abruptly, the fox kid and the masked man leapt high into the air, avoiding Shiishi's swift blow. The masked man called forth a clone with a Rasengan in its hand as they touched down, and it slammed it against Shiishi's back before dissipating when it made contact with his armor. Before being smashed by Shuishi's war hammer, the clone gazed at the hand that had once contained his father's signature jutsu. The attack from which his duplicate had just died gave Naruto a headache. With a low, powerful voice, Shuishi pointed his war hammer at the man in the mask and remarked, I see you are star-struck from my magnificent armor. Not really, Naruto thought, his eyes dull. Shushi proudly remarked, this armor is a redesigned version of the one Dodo Kazuhana had created. Naruto gritted his teeth and said, ah crap, so just you won't work on it. Surprised that he was aware of the armor he was wearing, Shuishi remarked, ah, so you are familiar with this masterpiece, created by the ingenious Dodo of Yukigakure. Familiar with it? Yes. Masterpiece? Yeah, for cowards. Genius. No way in hell, said Naruto. Shuishi simply responded with a grunt. After that, Naruto gave him Fu and called forth a cage bushin to stand beside him. With a nod from the fox kid and clone, Naruto said, get Fu Chan away from here, while I take this guy on. Mamoru, you go with them, and protect Fu if anything comes after you, got it? Before they began to depart. Now that that's taken care of. He covered his face with his hat, then removed it to reveal a demonic face with horns and fangs. Shall we begin? Wearing green slippers and a red sundress, 8-year-old Fu stood in the center of a grassy plain. She had to cover her eyes with her hand in order to see her surroundings because the sun was shining so brightly on her face. She was looking around when she noticed a man and a woman standing far away with their backs to her. The man had coal black hair, a fine build, and dark mocha skin. He was dressed in black sandals, burnt brown shorts that fell just past his knees, and a black shirt with the Takigakure symbol on the back. The woman had mint green hair that reached her lower back, fair skin, and a slim, slightly curvaceous figure. She was dressed in a long, short-sleeved, red kimono, black sandals, and a pair of beige pants that ended at her calves, which were visible when the kimono blew in the wind. When Fu realized who these two were, tears of happiness fell from her eyes and a broad smile appeared on her face. K.Ka.San. 2. Chan. Fu wiped away her tears before running toward her parents with a broad smile on her face. Ka.San. 2. Chan. She exclaimed as she ran all the way to them, but as she got closer, her parents abruptly caught fire and quickly reduced to ashes. Fu's expression was one of shock before she turned to her clenched hand. She thought her mother's hand was supposed to be in hers, but when she unclenched it, all she saw were ashes. Fu's eyes began to well up with sorrowful tears. As the ashes of her parents danced around her and flowed with the wind, she began to sob and bit her bottom lip before falling to her knees and sobbing. Pumping chakra into his war hammer, Shuichi screamed, "Josho Chikyu Nadare no Jutsu!" Rising Earth Avalanche Technique, and smashed it into the ground. In front of Shuichi, the ground began to rise and shatter, creating a massive wave of rocks and earth that was directly in Hashi's direction. Hashi immediately leapt high into the air after gathering chakra to his feet. Hashi created a cage bushin while he was in the air, grabbed his arm, swung him around, and threw him directly at Shuichi. Stupid. Shuichi wondered, what does he think he will accomplish with a move like that? Naruto cocked his fist back and grinned behind his mask. Hashi was about to hit Shuichi when he slammed his fist into the armored giant's torso, causing it to skid back. Shuichi was taken aback by what had transpired. How? When Shuichi noticed that his torso armor was dented, he thought to himself. Kami, that hurt. Unclenching his fist and shaking it, Hashi thought, it would just be a waste of time to just keep bashing at him blindly, even though my attacks that are enhanced with wind chakra are powerful. I need to think strategically. Hashi assumed his contemplative stance, grasping his chin and tapping it with his index finger. Shuichi began to laugh abruptly. Shuichi remarked, I am impressed, it's not easy to dent my armor. Hashi simply stood there tapping his chin without responding. Shuichi became enraged after a while. He charged at him and swung at him, shouting, don't you dare ignore me. But Hashi simply jumped back without losing his cool. Now that Hashi was still tapping his chin, Shuichi was becoming really irritated. Shuichi repeatedly swung his war hammer at Hashi, yelling, I'm going to crush you. But the demon masked shinobi continued to tap his chin while deftly dodging and ducking. Shuichi yelled, you love that chin so much, don't ya? Then I'm gonna break it, and swung his war hammer as hard as he could, but Hashi deflected the blow. Shuichi struck his war hammer too forcefully, causing it to strike the ground behind him and then pass over his head and behind his back. Shuichi attempted to remove it, but it was only causing him back pain. Although his armor protects him from jutsu injuries, it can occasionally be quite painful. Shuichi let go of his warhammer and turned to retrieve it, but Hashi was crouched in front of Shuichi's face on the tip of the weapon's handle. Hashi continued to tap his chin with his finger. He lifted his free hand, collected some wind chakra, and then slammed his palm directly into Shuichi's face, sending him flying back. The art of the silent fist, of course, Hashi thought, grinning behind his mask. A flashback. Naruto asked his mentor, Silent Fist. Obito replied with a nod, what is it? Obito described it as, the art of fighting, without even fighting. With a lifeless expression, Naruto remarked, sounds like doing nothing. Obito smirked and remarked, not if your opponent is doing all the fighting. Obito gave the order, now Naruto, I want you to attack me. Raising an eyebrow, Naruto questioned, seriously? Obito gave a nod of agreement. Naruto simply grinned and assumed his fighting stance. Naruto confidently yelled, okay then Obito, I hope you're ready for an ass whooping. As he charged at Obito, Obito only grinned while dodging Naruto's feint punch. Obito ducked under Naruto's spin kick as he leapt and attempted to hit his head. Then Naruto launched lightning fast blows, but Obito continued to sidestep each one. Damn it! Obito then sidestepped one of the blows and ended up behind Naruto. I knew Obito was fast, but I didn't think he'd be this good. Naruto turned to face Obito, who was merely grinning, and thought, then again, he was able to keep up with Chan. With an unwavering smile, Obito said, you're going to have to do better than that, Naruto. Obito shifted to the side as Naruto charged and delivered a chop. Then, in an attempt to break Obito's block, Naruto launched an upward high kick, but Obito simply leapt back. As he raised his wind chakra to his feet, Naruto grinned. He launched himself at Obito as he slammed his foot down, but he used too much wind chakra and he rocketed at him. Obito simply swerved to avoid Naruto, and the young blonde hit the ground, bounced off it, and bounced off the ground again before hitting it one last time and then falling to a complete stop. Naruto's head ached from the repeated hits, and he just stared up at the sky with light-headed eyes. Obito merely shook his head before materializing in front of Naruto's head using his unique Shushin. Obito smiled and leaned down. Naruto simply indicated Obito with his finger. Naruto lowered his arm and declared, "You win this round, so what other fighting styles are there?" Obito replied, "Well, there's Aikido." Naruto stood up. Feeling lightheaded, Naruto held his head and asked, "What's that?" "It's similar to Judo, but it incorporates blows," said Obito. What?" Naruto asked, perplexed. Obito threatened to strike me. Simply shrugging his shoulders, Naruto punched Obito. Obito simply shifted slightly to the side and took Naruto's wrist. After twisting it so that Naruto was bending, he pushed the young blonde to the ground by firmly placing Naruto's captive arm behind his back. While holding Naruto's arm, Obito had him pinned down. Obito smiled and asked, "Did I make it clear?" Naruto groaned and said, "Crystal." End of the flashback. Aikido could also work as well, but I'll have to use chakra for it. That armor may absorb chakra, but it can still soften the impact of the attacks. Hashi was thinking to himself. Due to his heavy armor, Shuichi stumbled a little as he stood up, but he was able to maintain his balance. Hashi hopped off the handle and grabbed the warhammer, saying, "Well, it's better than getting my ass kicked." He then began to build up wind chakra in his hands, which enabled him to raise the enormous hammer high in the air. The wind chakra was then transferred into the warhammer by him. Shuichi was furious now if he wasn't already. He lost it when he saw the runt with the demon mask holding his hammer. With his fist cocked back, Shuichi charged at Naruto. As Shuichi charged at him, Naruto just stood there with the hammer raised. Hashi slammed the hammer down on Shuichi as he approached. There was a shockwave of wind as the hammer smashed Shuichi to the ground. Strong winds blew everywhere, causing the grass to blow with the wind, flowers to lose their petals, tree leaves to rustle and fly away with the wind, and the strength of the winds to cut the bark of the trees. Shuichi lay there with dents and cracks in the back of his armor. As Hashi let go of the hammer, he thought, I suppose he was more of a fury-driven bloodlust fighter than a shinobi. The once grassy and natural plain had turned into a plain of fire, ash, and soot, and the 8-year-old Fu was crying. Some of the trees weren't on fire, but they were dead from the fire, and others were burning. All life was utterly extinct, and the earth appeared to be ash, black and crumbling. It appeared to be the detritus of a fully engaged battleground. Fu had some mucus running down her nose and tears streaming down her eye. She experienced loneliness, sadness, and rage. "You're all alone," said a voice that sounded metallic. "And you know whose fault it is? Those damn villagers. They made your life a living hell. That's why you ran away, because they are the real monsters." As the wind increased, an orange light shone over Fu. When Fu looked up, he saw a massive rhinoceros beetle with 6 wings and a tail that resembled a whip protruding from its abdomen. The enormous insect had multiple slits over its eyes to allow for vision, but its helmet-like skull concealed its eyes. It also had 6 legs, 3 on each side, as well as spike protrusions on its shoulders and a row of slits on each shoulder. "They have harmed you and your family for your entire life. They took your parents away from you, making you orphaned, leaving you to die in the streets, and that was just the beginning," the huge rhinoceros beetle said. As she sobbed and looked to the ground, Fu asked, "What do you want from me?" "To take away the pain. The grueling pain that harms me as well. I wish to take it all away," the enormous insect replied. "Leave me alone," shouted Fu. There was no response from the rhinoceros beetle. "It's all your fault." The beetle said, "The pain." Fu shouted, "You're the reason why they all hate me," at the enormous insect. The rhinoceros beetle said, "The stinging pain." "You're the reason why my life was a misery," the insect said, "The horrifying pain." Fu took the ashes in her hands and said, "You're the reason why they're gone. Why I can never see them again, my Ka-san, my Tu-chan, my family." Fu bit her lower lip as tears began to well up in her eyes. Fu forcefully slammed her hands down. "You're the reason why that happened." Fu cried like a waterfall as she screamed at the rhinoceros beetle, "I hate you." The enormous beetle, feeling the agonizing pain he was now sharing with the girl, simply flew through the air while gazing down at the sobbing girl. Hashi glanced down at Shuichi, who appeared to be defeated. Wanting to be safe rather than sorry, Hashi knelt down and was about to remove Shuichi's helmet when he felt Kurama attempt to communicate with him mentally. "What's wrong, Kurama?" The Baiju King informed his host, "It's the girl. Her emotions are getting the better of her that she's leaking out Chomei's malevolent chakra." "Oh," Kurama insisted. "Get your ass over to her, right now, or else, she'll become a beacon for unwanted company." To his host. Then Hashi got to his feet and felt his cage bushin suddenly dispel, revealing Fu and Mamoru's location. Then, in order to soothe Fu, Hashi set out to locate the fox and female Jinchuriki. Shuichi's finger twitched, but Hashi had missed it. At last, Hashi arrived just in time to witness Fu encircled by an orange chakra cloak. "Kurama, can we get inside Fu's head?" Hashi mentally questioned the Fox King. Fu remained there, sobbing uncontrollably. As her emotions overtook her, the enormous rhinoceros beetle landed in front of her, staring down at her. He detested seeing her in this manner. Although Chomei was actually the kindest member of his family, it still annoyed him when someone behaved like a complete jerk. Fu hugged her legs and said, "They're gone. I'll never see them again. I'm all alone. I don't want to be alone." "Why? Why?" Fu sobbed even more. "Can't anyone understand me?" she exclaimed. A voice behind her said, "I can." When Fu turned around, he saw a boy who appeared to be around 7 years old. He had 6 whisker-like birthmark marks on his cheeks, 3 on each cheek, blonde spiky hair, and cerulean eyes. He was dressed in dark navy blue pants, blue shinobi sandals, and a white shirt with a red Land of Fire symbol on the front and sleeves. With a broad, toothy smile and a raised hand in greeting, the boy said simply, "Yo." The boy's presence frightened Fu a little, but when he claimed to understand her, she gave him her whole focus. Fu said, "You understand me?" The boy laughed and said, "Sure, you're speaking Japanese, right?" Fu simply pouted angrily at him. "Shut up, and go away," she shouted. The blonde grinned broadly and said, "Calm down, I was just kidding, Fu-chan." Fu gave him a wide-eyed stare. "Curious," Fu said, "how do you know my name?" The boy simply gave her a smile. After that, the boy approached the rhinoceros beetle and merely observed it. "Oh, company. I love company. What's your name, little guy?" the enormous beetle exclaimed, eager to meet a new acquaintance. Fu was taken aback by this since the enormous insect had only ever discussed suffering and wanting to relieve it for her. Perhaps when he said he wanted to help her, he meant it. Naruto pounded his fist against his chest and declared, "The name's Naruto, Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm going to be next Hokage," with pride. "Well, it's nice to meet you. The rhinoceros beetle paused when Naruto said, "Chomei." The beetle gave Naruto a direct look. Chomei asked the young blonde boy, "You know who I am?" "Yep. You're the Nanbi no Kabutomushi. Usually calls himself Lucky 7 Chomei." Naruto replied. This newcomer knew exactly who he was, which surprised Chomei. A little tired of the blonde, Chomei asked, "Have you been stalking me?" Naruto pointed his thumb at the girl with the mint green hair and said, "How can I do that, when we've just met? Besides, the only way I could stalk you is if I stalked Fu. And I got the feeling she'd beat the crap out of me if she did." Chomei questioned, "Now why would she beat the crap out of you?" Naruto turned to Fu and said, "Well, look at her." Naruto said, "In her eyes, you can tell she's fierce and independent, which is cool in my book. Especially considering how cute she is." However, after realizing he had said that last sentence aloud, he instinctively covered his mouth and blushed. Fu blushed as she looked down, but when Naruto turned back to face Chomei, she smiled and continued to blush. As she pushed her spiky hair behind her ear, Fu thought, "He thinks I'm cute." Naruto pointed to something behind Fu and said, "Hey. Anyway, I knew all that stuff from him." Fu noticed a huge 9-tailed fox when she turned to look behind her. Then she ran behind Naruto, cowering behind him in fear of the fox, and screamed in shock and fear, her face going all anime style scared. Naruto grinned because he thought it was adorable when she was afraid. "Kurama." Chomei joyfully and excitedly called out the name of the enormous fox. Then Chomei began to fly around his brother, flapping his wings. "Kurama, I'm so happy to see you again. Are you happy to see me? How's it been? Have you seen any of the others? Is this boy your Jinchuriki? Huh? Huh? Huh?" Chomei asked Kurama a plethora of questions in a hurry. Naruto merely grinned and laughed a little at what he saw. "He's really happy, isn't he?" the young blonde pondered. Fu merely watched in amazement. "This is my Biju, then?" He's so happy. Fu was taken aback by her Biju's genuine kindness. Kurama sighed at the antics of his brother. A little irritated by his brother's speeding past him, Kurama said, "Hello Chome, it's nice to see you." Fu gave Naruto a look. Fu said, "You were telling the truth." Naruto turned to face Fu, looking perplexed. "You really do understand me, don't you?" Fu replied. Naruto placed his hands behind his head. "Yes and no, I do know the pain of having your village despise you for having a Biju inside of you, seeing you more as the creature than the jailer, but I never knew how it was having your parents for years before they were taken away from you. My parents sacrificed themselves sealing Kurama inside me and saving my life." Naruto replied to Fu. "They sealed him inside you? Don't you hate them?" Fu responded. Naruto simply shook his head. Fu arched an eyebrow at Naruto's response, "Not at all. At first I was very angry at my dad, since he was the one to seal Kurama into me, but I soon understood why he had to do it. I mean myself along with my long-lost sister were the only ones to contain both halves of Kurama's chakra, but in truth, I'm actually happy to have Kurama within me." Naruto smiled broadly. Chome halted his whirling around his brother and turned to face the boy and Fu. The giant rhinoceros beetle and the girl with mint green hair both gave Naruto a startled look. Still in disbelief, Fu questioned, "Are you serious?" In response, Naruto nodded his head. "But why?" As though it were clear, Naruto stated, "Because I became friends with Kurama." That surprised both Chome and Fu. "Fu, you and I have had harsh lives, but so did the Biju. They've lived on this earth for like over 9,000 years feeling the same pain as we do. We, as Jinchuriki, are the only ones who can truly understand them. The only downside is that the people of our village don't treat us as we want them to, but other than that, being a Jinchuriki is a god thing. It's a blessing in disguise," Naruto said with an honest grin on his expression. Startled by what Naruto had said, Fu and Chome turned to face him. Kurama, however, merely grinned. Kurama continued to smile as he thought, "You really are something else, Kit." Naruto addressed the Nambi Jinchuriki by calling her name, Fu. "I know you still might feel indifferent of what I said, but I think you should give you Biju a chance. I promise you that you won't regret it." Naruto replied with a grin. Fu remained unconcerned, but then she noticed that Chome had landed in front of her, grinning. With what Fu thought was a sincere smile, Chome said, "I'm willing to give it a try." She knew that smile was sincere, so scratch that. Chome urged, "Ladies first." Fu was a little taken aback, but she moved on. Fu cleared her throat and said, "Oh, right." Fu bowed to her Biju and introduced herself, saying, "My name is Fu." Chome said, "It's very nice to meet you, Fu. I am Lucky 7 Chome." He grinned broadly as he introduced himself. Fu exclaimed, "Cool, then I'll be lucky too." While beaming broadly. With a hopeful smile, Fu stated, "I hope we can become the best of friends." Chome smiled genuinely and said, "I'd really like that, Fu. Chan." The suffix made Fu blush, and she smiled back at him. "Okay, now that we're buddy and all, can we all get a dose of reality, because that prick you were fighting is heading our way, Kit?" Kurama said to his blonde Jinchuriki. Naruto swore, "Damn it." Then he extended his hand to Fu, who gave him a curious glance. Naruto smiled. "Want to go back to the world together?" he asked. Fu's cheeks were slightly flushed as she grinned. Fu said, taking Naruto's hand, "Sure." Then a dazzling white light surrounded them.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.